Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome to yet another edition of It's Only Rock and Roll, the show where we try to keep alive the flame of classic rock, all that fantastic material that we love from the 70s, 80s, and beyond, and talk about the things that we love, not the negative. We'd like to talk about the good stuff. And I'm beyond excited today to welcome two guys to the show who have participated in rock history with what I call the Purple Family. Yeah, he's hiding that beer. Purple Family, Deep Purple, Rainbow, Whitesnake, Dio, and all the offshoots that came from it. There's a spine of hard rock and heavy metal, in my opinion, since the 70s, 60s, and 70s onwards. So welcome to the show. On my that side, on his left, my right, other way around, Mr. Willie Fyffe, equipment tech extraordinaire. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you, Brian. Thanks for having us. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you, mate. I'm looking forward to diving into your history with the likes of Deep Purple, Genesis, you mentioned earlier, I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, Whitesnake, and obviously the immortal Ronnie James Dio, who you were very close to. So can't wait to get into those memories. But I'm equally tumescent with excitement to welcome on this side Mr. Colin Hart, roadie, road manager, and tourie manager to many of these great bands. To Colin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here, especially with that man Willie over there. Where is he?
That's that guy over there.
I could put you next to each other, but I felt some separation was required.
Yeah, it's better to have you
right.
between the
Yeah.
two of us.
Because let's face it, who's more important, an equipment tech or a roadie?
The guy in the middle
definitely.
doing the interview.
No, I'd say it was Colin. He's got all the stories.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
And I know that you guys have known each other for many years and worked together for many years. You also did some separate stuff and diverged now and again. So we're going to be kind of covering both your early days and then diverge and then split a bit. We've got lots of photographs, lots of video clips I'm going to play despite YouTube hating me doing that. So really looking forward to it. Thank you for being here, guys. I'd also like to welcome my regular friends on the panel. First of all, John Daswolfen, how are you, mate?
I'm doing great.
Good. I think
Hope
this is in
everybody
your.
is.
I think this is in your wheelhouse too.
Oh yeah. I've been listening to these bands since I was, I guess, 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah. So, what 60 years ago then?
Oh, I'm not that
just
old. I'm
kidding.
only 53. Well, I'll
Just
be
kidding.
53 next month. But
Yeah. I actually can say that I have been listening to those bands like Deep Purple since 1968 was the first time I heard them as a kid. That was the Mark I Purple, of course, with different. Yeah, Mark I Purple with Hush, and then one was in it because I had an older brother and sister. So whilst I was pretty young, they would play those records, and it was like, what's that? But also with us today is our favorite Jethro Tull fetishist, Mark D with a C.
Thank you. Yeah. Tull. I always loved Tull and all these bands. So I think Deep Purple was my first concert that I got to go to in high school. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure that was Purple, and I don't think I could hear for the next 2 days after that concert. But I always remember it.
Was that like Perfect Strangers tour, or like the Perfect Strangers maybe? Or?
It was when they reformed, and that was that was such a huge deal. I had some friends. Hopefully they're watching now. That were huge Purple fans, and it was just one of them was a Purple nut. So shout out to Larry, and he kept telling us, he's like, oh, this is, the new album's coming out. We got to go see the concert, and it was a blast to go see that.
A purple nut is a bit of a physical problem, isn't it? If you've got a purple nut.
Yeah.
I'm sure roadies would know about
long enough.
Yeah, roadies would know about that. It's purple for Pepsi. So thanks for being here,
Colin,
Mark.
16.
What?
Look what he's done to Colin. He's only 16.
I know. He's a kid.
He'll age you, man.
Card him.
I got a couple of tour posters with Tull and Deep Purple on them for you, Mark. Just lined those up.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Also, I'd like to welcome back to the show my dear friend Dustin of Keto Simple. How are you, my friend?
Doing wonderful. Excited to be here. This is going to be a great topic. A lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yep, absolutely, mate. And thanks for being here. And below is our resident death, black metal, and general curmudgeon, Imperitus. How are you, my friend?
For being a curmudgeon, I'm actually all right. Looking forward to this. Looking forward to hearing more stories from the guys like this. The past few that we've done with like the Rowdies have been highly entertaining by my standards.
Oh yeah. And I think Joe was here, and I wonder if he needs to get back on. Here we go. There he is. Sorry, Joe. You're at the bottom of the window at the side. I couldn't see you.
Not your fault, man. As usual, the Irishman is getting the luck. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to put this cool looking backdrop up, and the whole world's against me, against the clock. How you guys
It looks
doing?
like rainbow in the background, is it?
That's exactly what it is. Maybe my favorite album cover by him. Yeah, straight between the eyes.
So without
I had a
casting
sticker of that
aspersions,
in junior high.
without casting aspersions on Joe's age, he's about the same age as me, so I think he's got the same background and likes in music. So this is right up our alley, Joe.
We're only about 2.5 years apart.
So this is right in our wheelhouse. Love talking about these bands. Just before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, I would like to say a great big welcome to everybody in the chat, both here and we are out on Rumble too. So first of all, Courtney, who may join us later, I hope. Courtney's our rock and roll girl bass playing punk. And she's wonderful, and it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Courtney!
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday
birthday
to you.
Yeah. Also, we have with us, who's been commenting and chatting like crazy, Mr. FKHC 2005. Well, I say Mr. I don't know. How would we know? But yeah, he's one to talk now. I don't know if Colin, you may have been there. We have to talk about this. I'm not
Yeah.
sure, Willie, you were. The smoke on the water when Frank Zappa burned the casino down.
Yes, we were
Montreal.
there. The whole
You
band
were
was there.
Yeah.
Wow.
What were your specific memories of that awesome occasion?
Well, apart from the terrible fire, we were enjoying the Frank Zappa concert. It was fantastic up to that point. And
Yeah.
then he just stopped mid-song and said, "Fire!" Everybody thought it was like part of a new song or something.
Yeah.
And, it was incredible. And he just pointed to the fire and took his guitar off. And
Yeah.
the whole ceiling was just starting to burst into flames. It was a suspended sort of matte ceiling.
All right.
And it just went up instantly.
You got to think though it was worth it because it did provide one of the most played songs in rock history and also one that's banned in most guitar stores around the world.
Well, I think
Right.
some of the people that owned the casino would have disagreed with producing such a wonderful song from it.
Now, were Purple were they playing or recording there?
We
or
were
both?
supposed to start recording in that building the following day.
Yeah.
And we had the Rolling Stones mobile park right outside, and it was starting to get scorched by the flames.
Oh,
So
geez.
they tried to get it out of the mud. People were hosing it down and stuff. Somebody eventually got in and started it and moved it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd wouldn't have even had a recording. It was
Indeed, we did
amazing.
have to get that famous incident out of the way early because everybody wants to know about that one. And
Oh, okay.
did you?
Did that
did
really
you-
start with a flare gun, or like
Yes,
it
it
says
did.
in the lyrics? It did.
Yeah,
So
it absolutely did. The guy fired a flare into the ceiling.
it was
Yeah.
once there's someone in the crowd, just some
yeah,
idiot, or
somebody in the audience. Yeah.
Jesus, and because suspended ceiling.
They caught him too. I think about a year later.
It's surprised he's not demanding royalties from the song though. So somebody says Arthur Brown in person caused this. Maybe only the Brits would get that reference. Fire.
Oh no, you don't, Arthur.
I want it to burn. But yeah, good one. So yeah, we'll be talking a lot more about that era of Purple for sure. But it's incredible to meet someone who was actually there, Colin. That's
I remember it well.
yeah. See, Willie avoided all that. He only got involved with Purple later.
Oh dear.
Yeah. But when they got all that stuff out of the way. Well, I'd also like to welcome now to the stream our great friend Courtney. Happy birthday, Courtney.
happy birthday, Courtney.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday,
I'm trying
Courtney.
to get things working. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
We can hear
Yeah.
you.
Can't
Okay.
see ya.
The next
We
is
want to
figuring
see
out
you.
how
bass
to
for us.
see me.
Play some bass quick.
It's very nice to meet you, Colin, and is it Willie?
It's Willie. Yeah.
Really?
And hi to everybody else, and hi to the chat.
Hello.
And also joining us are my beloved friend and brother in rock, Pope Metallicus I. How are you, buddy?
How are you guys?
Hi,
Good.
Toby.
How are you doing?
Sorry, I'm running late. I just got out of work, so.
Yeah, I bet you're happy to be on this one.
Oh yeah, this is my stuff.
You've got an adoring audience, Willie and Colin. I have to say, it's adoring. So we've
Yeah,
got
it's great
this
to
is
meet you guys.
such a full panel we have today. There's so many people. But just to go back to continue to say hello to the chat, Pete Dencat. Why did they let Roger Glover do bass solos in the middle of an awesome song? Because he's an awesome bass player and a wonderful gentleman. So I love Roger
You're
Glover.
great guy.
Love Glenn Hughes
Yeah.
too, but I love Roger Glover.
I
Hughes,
gotta
he
say
was a-
something quick. Roger Glover lived in my town growing up, and one of my best buddies who loved Purple as well was his sister was a dental hygienist. She's like, Rob, guess who's in my chair right now? Roger Glover. He's like, keep him sedated. I'm coming down with all my So he showed up there and had Glover's sign. You know, it was a gentleman after, I guess, his teeth were cleaned or whatever, and got all his albums signed.
I mean, Willie and Colin, you know Roger pretty well. I've got always had the impression he's a real gentleman. But
Fantastic guy.
That was a lovely man.
yeah, he is, and he's such a great musician. Not just a great bass player. He's got the
He's
whole
brilliant.
arsenal.
Yeah.
Producer.
Yeah.
Davina is here. It died with an awful sound. We're still in the Montrose. Gunnar, how are you, Gunnar? Nice to see you. Vince Womack, great friend of the channel, is here. Good to see you, Vince. Pete was saying he saw Dio in support for Alice Cooper at the Manchester Apollo in England. That would have been a killer gig.
I am jealous of that one.
I know. Anyway, Christian Delorme is also here, our great friend. I see you out there, Christian. We'll be checking in with the chat, and please put questions in. And hey, you even feel free to super chat those questions. I might speak them in an English accent then instead of a Scottish one. You know what I mean?
Nah.
Steady now.
So
you're a sweaty sock.
Exactly. And I have to say to everybody that Willie and Colin, we've been chatting backstage yesterday and today. I'm not ignoring you, D-Bird. Martin, how could I ignore you? Mod of mods, wrenching on the channel and being here supporting us all the time. Appreciate it very much, buddy. I would never ignore you. I'm just old and have a short attention span. So yeah, we were exactly. Yeah, we were chatting just for everyone in the crowd and in the chat. Willie and Colin, we had the most fantastic chats. Lovely guys. I'm so pleased to have them here. So what I wanted to do was just kind of focus briefly on one or each of you just for a while, and the other guy can feel free to heckle. But just to go over your early days,
kind of like we do to each other, yeah.
Like we do to each other. So Willie, I'm going to start with you, Willie, and I'm going to see if I can maybe get you to be a bit bigger on the screen. And I'm not sure how I do that.
I'm sitting closer to it. I'm even bigger now. Look.
Let's do it manually.
I can make you fill the screen, but then we disappear.
Oh,
so,
God,
no. See, children, don't. A lifetime of rock and roll does
that. That's better.
He's froze a bit. With a lifetime of rock and roll, that's what it does.
Give the guy a button and look what he does.
Right.
Power goes to his head.
I think there is a way of making you slightly bigger and us slightly smaller, but I can't figure it out. So we're just going to leave you where you are. But I'm going to show some stuff on the screen. So we'll start with Willie, and then we'll move on to Colin. We have great. You guys sent me some great photos. I really appreciate it. Hard to see this, but this is just this is on Discogs. This is some of your credits that you actually have on the albums, Willie. So you got Deep Purple, Stormbringer, Made in Europe, Glenn Hughes, Play Me Out, Whitesnake, Live in the Heart of the City, all the Dio albums, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. You've got album credits on all of these. It says Equipment Tech, Willie Fyffe.
Well, I thought they'd forgotten me.
And that's a small selection. So can I ask, you grew up in Hammersmith, and here's the Hammersmith Odeon. This one's for Mark.
Yeah.
If you look at the band that's playing.
Love it.
Yeah,
I wish I was there.
So you did grow up in and the mentions a ZZ Top gig in the posters. I was at that one. So
wow.
So you grew up in the Hammersmith area of South London. What was your musical tastes in those days? I guess we're talking early 60s.
Well, see, my dad was a professional musician. He was a pianist, so he played for people like Ronnie Hilton and Frankie Vaughan and all these singers of the 50s and 60s. So my upbringing music was pretty basic. If you look back at 50s and 60s, that's what was around. And until the Beatles came, and I went, fuck, these are the guys. It was all, I won't say it was all plain sailing. I love stuff like Jimmy Smith and, organ players. And
Jimmy Smith, great. Yeah, didn't he play with the Small Faces for a while, or at least
Uh,
he influenced them for a while. He might have played some
Probably
early
influenced
stuff.
him. Yeah, Jimmy Smith was a great keyboard player, great
Hammond player, yeah.
Hammond organ player. You know, like the Booker T and all those sort of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my growing up, my musical taste was varied from Dave Brubeck, you know, jazz. I mean, all sort of stuff until the Beatles came along, and then there was the, you know,
It was like
all took off from
the
there.
golden shaft from the sun.
That's it. The light shone down.
Changed the world,
the
man.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. And I had a full pack of cigarettes, a full tank, and I was ready to go.
So
He's
yeah,
a
you
Blues
went-
Brother. Yes.
That's right. Did you say Blues Brothers?
I said Blues Brother. You said
did say Blues.
What kind of music do you usually have here?
Oh, we got both kinds. We got country and western.
Yes.
Great movie.
So
my
you
boy
were.
grew up on that. My boy,
Oh, it's a great.
he was about
movie.
7 at the time.
Yeah.
He found that we'd wake up in the morning and he'd be down next to the video player with the Blues Brothers playing. And he was about 7, so all this curse in him.
Brought him up right, didn't you?
Man, that was it.
You brought him up
Rock and
right, yeah. So yeah, Hammersmith. You left Hammersmith though about as a teenager and moved further afield.
I was just over the bridge from Hammersmith, Barnes, East Sheen, that area. So it was quite a nice area. Hammersmith was a good shopping
rougher.
area and had gigs, good pubs. You know, it still is a good area.
Yeah, I've
You know,
hung out there a
it's-
lot in the past. Gone to gigs there. I've been
Yeah.
to a few gigs at the Odeon, and
Yeah.
nice place.
Theatres,
fun.
yeah, it's everything. It's kind of cool.
But you moved away
Southwest
from
London.
London, but came back later for business, for work, I guess. Came back later
Yeah.
for the business.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Colin,
That's
you.
it. As I said, once you got some,
Sorry, mate.
sorry,
I think we missed you there.
I was just saying, once you got a gig like Hammersmith Odeon, hey,
Well,
everybody's
that-
played there. You know,
That's right. It's a big,
Great.
important theatre. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the big ones in London.
yeah.
So, Colin, you've got a slightly
Yeah, yeah.
different background. You're from Newcastle.
South Shields.
I'm just kidding. You're from
South
Sunderland.
Shields.
Whoa, you're starting to fight.
The biggest insult you can say to anyone from Sunderland is you're from Newcastle. So you're from South Shields,
South Shields, yeah.
up in the northeast, Sunderland, I guess. So kind of
Very close, 6 miles from Sunderland.
yeah, a lot of rock and roll background there, obviously with guys like Sting and Brian Johnson and all the Mark Knopfler.
Mark.
What were you into as a kid? I mean, what stuff did you like?
Well, a bit like Willie, I mean, it was the Beatles that changed my life completely and had me in search of, you know, a better life.
Yeah, was it like lighting a fire under you, though? I guess like
It was
wow.
fantastic. I had no talent as a musician. I mean, I had a guitar, but I was hopeless at it. You know, so the next best thing was trying to get myself involved with music. So
Yeah, it could. I mean, with the Beatles and other bands like the Beatles and the Animals from Newcastle, and I guess it showed that working class guys in these towns could get into music and be part of it,
yeah,
rather than having to be, from London, Tin Pan Alley. You mentioned Frankie Vaughan and guys like that, Willie. That there was a whole avenue opened up. Like, wow, we could do this.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. It was, as Colin said, you know, it was these areas that brought the real music. You know, Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle, Birmingham. All the bands came. That's where they grew. You know, it's where they all came from. And you know, the Liverpool sound set everybody off. Everybody from, like you say, you know, going from Tremolos and Freddie and the Dreamers, Beatles,
Hollies,
Easy Beats, Hollies. I mean, they were all a different league, you know, and it was.
Yeah.
We were very lucky to have that in the 60s.
Yeah,
Really
I mean,
lucky.
I know I'm kind of like 10 years behind in terms of that experience, although I remember listening to stuff in the 60s, late 60s as a kid. It still seemed like such an exciting time with new stuff coming out all the time. Just
Yeah.
new things. And you mentioned the tremolos. I should mention at this point, you guys, we've had a lot of guys on from the rock and roll rowdies. I know that you know Wilco and Granny particularly.
Yeah.
You guys are friends of the rowdies. You know them.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Well, there was a time where you'd be in a bar, whether it be the Speakeasy, the Ship, or the Marquee, and you'd be sitting there minding your own business, enjoying yourself, and all of a sudden you hear this, "Get up, you old boiler!"
That'd be Wilco.
And you knew Wilco and Granny were in, and everybody.
The Hartley.
You knew it was going to be a quiet night. So
Yeah, the Hartlepool contingent.
That was
Yeah,
it.
and you guys would be hanging out at the Speakeasy, I guess.
That's it. Yeah. It was
Heady times.
No
Heady
rest.
times.
And then in California, of course, the Rainbow Bar and Grill, which is where
Oh, the
every
rainbow. Well,
Rainbow
Wilco hinted at some
Yeah, that's
stories
the
about the
equivalent.
rainbow.
Great
So if you guys want to tell some stories about the rainbow, we can do that.
Well, go on then, Willie.
Wow. You don't know where to start.
Well,
Where
I'll
do
tell
we
you,
start?
one,
Colin, go for it.
tell you one about Richie then.
Richie Blackmore, yeah.
Yes, I was in there. I used to drive him around because he didn't have a license till he was like 39 or something. So I was driving his Mercedes, and he was with his girlfriend at the time. And we're sitting in the corner, and some guy from another band, I forget, actually a Scottish roadie, I'm sorry, Brian. Scottish roadie came by and leaned over to his girlfriend and said something like, "Ooh, nice tits." And Richie got incensed. And he said, "Who's that guy? Who's that guy?" And he said, calm down, he's just a friend, or he'll be all right. So Richie's like getting more angry by the minute. And he gets up to leave, and he walks down towards the door, and he cold cocks this guy and ran like hell out the door. And I'm standing there, I'm behind him, and I'm the only one left. He's got his girlfriend with him, running out the door. I don't know where he's going because I've got the keys to the car. But this guy's got a big bloody mouth and everything. He's like, "I'm gonna kill him."
But Richie's not a big guy, though, is he really? I mean,
No, but he'd play real hard and then leave somebody else to take care of it.
That's right.
Right, left you holding the bag, right?
Always, not just me. He did it to a lot of people.
I heard tales of him diving
Roadie.
out the window. He would
What about
disappear out the
Brody?
window. Yeah, he left the roadie. He'd
Brody.
disappear out the window.
Yeah, poor Ian Broad. Willie just mentioned a guy called Ian Broad who worked for Richie for years as a personal sort of assistant. And Richie used to put him in terrible situations. And, we were at a gig one time in Spain working with UFO. And it was an outdoor gig. And the dressing rooms were all sort of just these thin walls propped up and sort of just jimmied together, Richie picks up this giant salad bowl, and just before UFO, we're going all quiet here. Oh, there we are. Just before UFO were going to go on stage, he pitches this great big bowl of salad over into the UFO dressing room. And of course, all hell breaks loose in there. And he gets Ian Broad and pushes him in the door.
Yeah.
To deal with it. And
Poor
Richie's
Roadie.
gone, and Phil Mogg is beating the shit out of the roadie.
Yeah, Phil's a Londoner, so he's not adverse to a bit of aggro, I
It
don't
was
think.
terrible.
Roadie.
And I tried to pull him out of there, and Richie grabbed me round the back of the neck and pulled me away, and then pushes Ian, "Get back in there, finish him off." And Phil Mogg used to be a boxer. So
Well, he's a tough Londoner. I mean, he's a
quick
tough
shots, and there's poor guy. I mean, he was in
Roadie, yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah, Richie would dive out the
didn't-
window and leave people.
Oh, absolutely. Huh?
Didn't Cozy chin him on a flight once?
Oh, I'll bet. Cozy
Uh,
was
I don't know if he chinned him, but he certainly, Cozy's the only guy that ever stood up with Richie and said, "I'm not putting up with any of your shit."
yeah.
Yeah, he was good, Cozy.
Cozy Powell could go anywhere, of course. He didn't need Richie.
Yeah.
Cozy was great.
Lovely
Fucking
guy, sadly gone long ago, but I remember specifically the 1812 overture on the drums. I used to love that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
When he did the whole 1812 overture just on the drums.
He was killer.
Was it kind of like a family fighting with these guys? I mean, you hear all these stories as a fan that Blackmore, we'd always joke, was like Richie Blackmore's Rainbow was always, it was Richie Blackmore, not anyone else in the band. But it was kind of like a family of brothers getting in a fight, and they'd whack each other, and then they'd get back together later, just laugh it off later. Or,
Richie was too much of a coward, dare I say, for that.
Yeah.
He would start all the trouble and then he'd be gone. He was nowhere to be found.
Everybody has a friend like that. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the guy that'll let's jump, right? Run right up to the cliff with you, and all of a sudden he hits the brakes and watch you go flying right off that sucker. Yep.
Yeah, that was Richie. Yeah.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I know there's only so much you can say, but I believe he has a reputation as a difficult man.
Quite difficult, yeah. He loved chaos, not just, creating it himself, but he loved to see people having arguments and knowing.
He's a shit disturber.
Yeah.
Shit disturber.
Under pressure. Yeah.
Oh,
Do you know, when we did the first Rainbow album, I was flown out because, God bless him, Ronnie had died, Ronnie Quinton, and they hadn't a guitar tech. So whenever all the tickets were being handed out, right, we're flying home. I said, well, where's mine? Where do you think you're going, Willie? I got my ticket to take me to Munich, which is where the first Rainbow album happened. That's the very same one. And I remember Ronnie saying to me, because we were kind of close even then, he said, oh man, this band's going to be huge. I want you with us. I said, oh, that'd be great. I love it. Love it. And all the time during the album was being made, he said, I'm going to approach him and say, you've got to come with us. Oh, Birchie and Chops is there. Bless them. Oh,
This
mate,
is in
gone.
Munich. This is in
That's
Munich.
in Munich, yeah.
That's Musicland Studios, yeah. And of course, he broached Richie on it and said, I want Willie to come along. He'd be great. And he went, nah. And Ronnie went, why? He said, he's too fucking happy.
It's a miserable bastard, isn't he?
He's a miserable prick. He said, he's too fucking happy. So that's why I never toured with Rainbow. I went back with Whitesnake and did other
You
things.
just recorded with them, and then it was Colin that toured. Colin toured with them, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this is Martin
Colin
Birch.
was out on the road with them.
I took this picture.
You were there. Well, you were in the water at the time. You weren't on the boat.
I was in another boat, and there's
Colin
another shot. There's another shot of Willie showing his. There it is.
Showing
The
his
thing
arm.
is,
Yeah, I took
there's
that.
another shot which I took a photo of you and the other boat mooning back,
Oh,
and
I don't know
I
if I've
cannot
got that.
find it.
No, that
Is that
doesn't
Martin
exist.
Birch? Or
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Martin
yeah,
Birch
yeah.
driving the
When I
boat.
find it.
yeah. So this was during the recording of the first.
Those were
Rainbow
great
album.
days. The day out at the lake.
And was it Elf that?
That was the day when we're driving up there towards the lake.
Yeah.
Really was pulling the wing mirrors off, the driving mirror. He was stripping the car down as we were driving along. And by the time we got to the lakes, there was nothing left in the car except the seats. He'd ripped everything and thrown it out.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a nightmare.
There's a lot
And
of that.
we must have gone through about a dozen Mercedes while we were there from the hire company. New car every week.
That was
Drive
when
it
you
to the
put a
barrier.
wheel
So
on
drive
it.
it to the barrier.
Was there?
Mate, he was a
so it was
nightmare, wasn't he?
but it was Elf that were the band playing
Yeah.
on the album.
Well, yeah, it was Elf and Richie. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
And did Purple
Richie
know this
Blackmore.
was going on? Did Deep Purple know this was happening? The rest of them?
Not till the last knockings, no.
Yeah.
They had a feeling he was going to leave.
That's
it.
He'd put the feelers out.
Because
That's us in Music Land again.
Yeah, this was during Mark III Purple with Coverdale and Hughes. And I guess Richie was like,
Oh yeah, that was afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah, well, when
that's-
Richie left, it was the Come Taste the Band album. That was with Tommy Bolin.
Oh, Tommy Bolin, yeah.
He bless him, he was a lovely man too. But I'm always confused. Those photos of you and me must have been the Rainbow album, not Purple, when we did Munich. because it's all
it was Rainbow, yeah, when we all went out.
Yeah, so it's all the original Elf, yeah.
Because you guys knew each other by then.
Well, yeah, but I always get confused because I was there and I did the first Rainbow and I did the Stormbringer. And Come Taste the Band before I got sent home. I got sent home for chilling a Lufthansa pilot. We were
to the best of us.
Take that for the war, yeah.
Oh, mate, yeah, they couldn't take a joke. I had my girlfriend fly out, and we were staying in the room. Early night, was 2 o'clock in the morning or something. I thought, oh, a bit of an early light. And we got to bed, and just as we were dozing off, this loud music started blaring. Now, it's normally us that causes this, right? And this music didn't stop, and I was going, oh. But it was pa music. It wasn't rock and roll. It was like Heidelberg German marching music.
Boy. Yeah.
Kind of like
he was coming from next door.
Here. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was coming from next door. So I phoned up next door and said, look, do you mind turning that fucking shit off? I'm trying to get to sleep. And the music gone down. 2 minutes later, the music went up. So I went and knocked on the door. And I said, look, will you turn that music off? I'm trying to get some rest. Went back door. He turned the music up. I then phoned down at the front desk, and the guys there in the Arabella house were good guys. They're known as all.
Ah, great. Yeah.
And I mentioned, I said, look, this arsehole next door keeps playing his music. Will you call him up and tell him to shut the fuck up? No problem, Herr Fyffe. They always call me Herr Fyffe. So you heard the phone go in the next room. Music went down. Yeah, kein problem. Yeah. Phone went down. Music went up. I went, that's it. So I went and knocked on the door again. He came to the phone. He's still in light uniform, shirt. And I said, well, if you don't shut that music off, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to throw it out of the window. And he went, you don't do that. And he gave me the finger. And I went,
just crossed the
and he
line.
went down like a sack of shit. And I looked down in the room and his mate went and turned the radio off. I sat there like, I went, closed the door.
Yeah.
Just going to bed, and the front desk call up, Herr Fyffe, the police are on their way. You must move out. I know, for fuck's sake. So I called me bags. Security got me to the airport and put me on the first flight home. Because Lufthansa wanted to sue us, wanted to sue Deep Purple because he couldn't fly. That was bollocks. But there you go. So that's why I didn't finish the album, Come Taste the Band. Just a quick snippet there.
So
Glenn Hughes wrote about it in his book.
There's something wrong with that.
Last time I saw Glenn, he said, I put you in the book, Wilf, the story about the pilot. I went, all the stories you could have told, you put the pilot in there. Man.
There's something terribly wrong with that story, Willie. You started off by saying you had a girlfriend. I'm not buying.
That's right.
I use the term loosely. She didn't know me very well then.
If you have to pay for them, is it really a girlfriend?
Well, you're right, because when she got home, she married the bass player from Gallagher and Lyle. So I must have done something wrong.
I see, one of my favourite bands, Gallagher and Lyle. I love those guys. I love the guys. Breakaway.
Yeah, Gallagher and Lyle. Alan Hornell, she married. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, say hello, Willie.
It's nice. We finally got a nice pussy on the show. Yeah,
hello, will you?
Hello.
When you get a second, check the private chat, Brian.
I have sent Pope a new link. I have to just apologize to everyone in the chat. I'm having problems highlighting chats. In my view here on the studio, it's died, so I can't see the I can't highlight any chats. I'm reading them on the stream, but I can't highlight them here. My apologies for that. But we are still reading them.
Says there's 68 people here. Is that right?
It could be. Yeah, there's a lot of people.
Just so you know, Brian, I'm going to have to move downstairs and plug myself in because the battery's running down. So I'm not deserting you, but I'm just going to take myself downstairs.
I will hide you on the stream, and that gives me a chance to go over some of Colin's less rock and roll beginnings.
Willie's gone for a refill, not
exactly.
Right, it's not the battery. Yeah.
So Colin, it does give us a chance to talk about more of your early career, which is quite interesting. I find there's some interesting stuff in there, but it shows how you got into the business. So how did you first get the chance to just even be a roadie or just get into that kind of thing?
Well, there was a bunch of kids from school had a couple of bands going. There's all.
You and John Lord. See, were you doing the John Lord double competition here?
Yes, we were. Yeah, brothers. There's a bunch of kids at school had a pretty decent band going, and after I got out of school and did a little bit of college, I started working in the town hall in South Shields as a pin pusher in the engineers department. I had all these aspirations to be an architect, but music was still my first love. And these guys had this really good band, and they had no transportation at all.
So this guy's here, Toby Twirl.
Oh, it wasn't. This is before that.
It's a different band before that.
These were my first professional gigs.
Yeah.
Toby Twirl.
But
before that, I conned my dad into buying a van for me. I promised to pay him back, and I bought this little Bedford thing, and I was running these guys around, 3 or 4 nights a week doing school dances and stuff. But I was making probably 5 times as much money as I was earning a week at the town hall. So I thought, well, this is fantastic.
And all the drink you could drink.
Well, yes, of course.
Right? Yeah. The atmosphere didn't hurt, did it?
Yeah, fantastic. So
that was in Sunderland. You were still in Sunderland.
South Shields.
South Shields, sorry. Yeah.
So after about a year of doing that, I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to be involved in music somehow. And out of the blue, I got a call from the guys in Toby Twirl. And I was offered
these guys.
The first professional job of my life with a music outfit. And this was them. I had no hesitation saying, yes, I'll do it. And they had a brand new Ford Transit, 6-wheeler Transit, which was the creme de la creme of transportation back in those days. And I quit my town hall job and off I went and did a couple of years with them.
So this was when you hooked up with these guys, 1968, 9?
I was 68, 69, yeah.
And you were the only roadie they had, though.
I was it. It was me and them. Those 5 guys.
Now, I don't remember these guys, and I consider myself an aficionado of 60s bands. I do not remember them. But
they looked like everybody else back then. They looked like Paul Revere and the Raiders,
I believe those costumes were desirable to somebody, weren't they?
They were. They all got stolen one night. We were rehearsing in Sunderland and came back out after the rehearsal, and somebody had smashed the window of the van and took all the costumes off the back seats. And we had a gig that night, so they had to perform in street clothes.
Civvies, as they
didn't quite look the same.
Civvies. So Toby Twirl were your first gig, and I guess that took you all around the country. Yeah.
And then
then you moved on to Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair, yes.
Now, we played a clip of them in the montage. Hitchin' a Ride was a huge international hit.
Yes, it was.
And that got you your first... Was that still just a British tour, though, or did you get abroad with that?
No, we did mostly British tours. They went to Miami and did a couple of American gigs, but they couldn't take us being the roadies with them because they were just doing a couple of TV shows and stuff, and expenses were kind of tight.
Yeah.
I did tours with them for about 2 years.
I'm just going to play a tiny little clip more of that because Hitchin' a Ride was a huge hit.
Yeah, so was another one called Sun, Sun, Sun.
Yeah, so Hitchin' a Ride. So you were the one and only roadie for these.
Oh, there was another guy called Mick Minto.
Yeah.
So
see if I can get this one up. Is this the right one? Hang on. Yeah. This is a Top of the Pops clip, I think. So did you do shows like Top of the Pops with these guys?
Oh yeah, we did a couple of them with them. Yeah.
This was a top 10 hit all over the world. You know?
Yeah.
How exciting was that to be working for these guys when they were?
It was fantastic. Again, we had a top of the line transit for the gear. The band used to travel around in an American station wagon over in England.
And, with wooden paneling? Wooden paneling on the side?
I don't know. Well, no, it wasn't one of those. It was red, I remember. Great, big, huge thing.
Yeah, that's Vanity Fair. I distinctly remember this hit, and you hear it on the radio, AM radio in Britain all the time still.
Yeah.
Cool. So, but then you did that, and then you went to work for a band called Matthew's Southern Comfort.
Yes, I did.
Who had a huge hit with Woodstock, the Joni Mitchell song.
Yeah.
Which was also in the montage.
Yeah, this was a very strange thing. A friend of mine called Bill Borthwick from my hometown, he was the roadie for Matthew's Southern Comfort. And he was wandering along the road in Earl's Court, London, smoking a joint one day, and the police tapped him on the shoulder and said, come with me, sir. And he was due to come to the States with Matthew's Southern Comfort, but he couldn't. All of a sudden, he couldn't get a visa because he'd just been busted for smoking on the street. And he called me and asked me if I wanted to fill in for him. And I said, well, I'm working for Vanity Fair, but let me check. I asked the guys, I asked Dick, the drummer, and he said, do it, without any hesitation. So I went, got a visa, and off I went. That was my first trip. First trip on a plane was from London over to New York.
The US. Wow.
747.
This would be exciting. And Ian Matthews had been in Fairport Convention, so he'd come from more of a folk rock background.
Yeah, it was an interesting lineup. I mean, really interesting.
They got kind of pigeonholed as a country-ish band. But you ended up bunking. You were telling me you ended up bunking with the steel guitar, the pedal guitar player.
Yeah, Gordon Huntley.
Which was like, he was 20 years older than the rest of the band and didn't want to party.
I mean, it was kind of strange. It certainly put a damper on my romantic aspirations at the time.
So that US tour that they did, was it supporting other acts or was it a headlining?
It was a support situation. It was Matthew's Southern Comfort, Deep Purple, and Rod Stewart and the Faces.
Well, yeah, that's right enough, because I think I've got a poster of that. But
the most incredible tour.
Yeah, this Woodstock was a huge hit.
It was.
Joni Mitchell song, yeah.
And you can't get any more laid back than this.
Like so laid back it's laid out. Matthew Southern Comfort, and then huge hit there. But they, as you say, they appeared as Ian Matthews. They appeared on this too. This is the tour. That's the one you did.
Yeah.
Now,
fantastic.
The Faces must have been a bit of a riot.
Fantastic. It was a blast every step of the way, this tour. And by the end of it, I had a job with Deep Purple. So.
That's how you got introduced to them. They poached you.
Yeah. And I had to come back to England and tell Vanity Fair that I wasn't working for either Southern Comfort or them anymore. I was working for Purple.
And Purple were huge, of course, so you couldn't turn
and
that
they said, well done, lad, off you go.
Yeah, you couldn't turn that down. So that was like 1971. You're in with Deep Purple just as they're hitting their absolute peak with Machine Head, Deep Purple, and Rock.
Yeah.
All those albums.
We did so many shows in the first couple of years. Oh, there's one. Good stage shot. It was unbelievable. When I look at them now, look at the amount of dates and the amount of cities. It's frightening. I get exhausted just reading about it now.
It is hard to look back now from our perspective to realize just how big a band they were globally.
Gigantic,
Everyone talks about Zeppelin and and whatever. Purple were probably the biggest selling band in the world for 2 or 3 years in that era, I think.
Most likely, yeah.
And stage wise, and incredible. And they were vying to be the loudest band in the world.
Apparently, yeah.
So as a roadie, how did you feel about that?
Well, I didn't have to be out front listening to it because back then when I was a roadie, I was behind Richie's amps most of the night because I had to keep an eye on the drums, the keyboards, and Richie, and there was another guy over the other side, watching the bass player. And there was 3 of us at the time, and then it ended up as 2 of us.
It's still a lot of work. I mean, a ton of work because they had a lot of gear. This was the era where backlines were big now.
I was so young and fit back then, I didn't give a crap. It was like, let's heave this shit in the van and get back to the bar.
Let's just show a little clip of Purple in their absolute glory days in Made in Japan with Highway Star. We'll flip forward to the John Lord with the back of his keyboard open all the time.
All the time. Yeah, I was behind his amps.
He was standing behind there.
Did you still need earplugs though, or did him?
Oh no, it wasn't that back then. Or back there.
It's hard to remember just how hard this band rocked from this day and age.
One of my favorite songs when you're driving, right? Crank Highway Star.
Classic song. I think it's my favorite Purple. Yeah, and they were trying to be the loudest band in the world in the Guinness Book of Records. So. This is
Were they competing with the Who for a while?
There was an amplifier arms race, I believe. Now, Willie, you weren't working for Purple then, but this amplifier arms race as a techie must have been interesting for you.
Well, when I was looking after Glenn's bass gear, he had 8 big Martin bass bins, and he had like 3 or 4 huge 200-watt high-watt amps.
Yeah,
they were absolute monsters. But Richie, of course, always stuck with the Marshalls. He was the Marshall king, really. That guy.
Yeah. I mean, just the sheer amount of gear you had to connect up and.
Oh yeah, John's keyboards were so intricate too. I mean, by the end of the time I was working with him, he'd had keyboards built into the keyboards of the Hammond.
Jesus!
So he had an RMI piano built into the bottom. We had Moog built into it. The thing weighed a ton.
Yeah, Mike Phillips did all that, didn't he?
Yeah, the boffin. Yeah, he was a bit of a character. Clever guy, but he ripped the band off big time.
Yeah, Willie, were you concentrating on like a particular instrument or just the entire tech scenario?
No, in those days you weren't classed as a tech, really. Tech has become a word that was put in much later.
You were still just a roadie that did.
You were just a roadie, and a roadie humped the gear. He did what he could, put together what he could, was there on stage. He did a kind of, I'm sure Colin would back me out, a bit of a jack of all trades, a master of none in the early days.
Absolutely.
Because Colin, you must have done tech stuff too. I mean, you were the only guy in some of these bands.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was it. Well, I didn't consider myself a tech by any stretch of the imagination. Like Willie said, I was a roadie, I was a humper,
In more ways than one, clearly.
Yes.
What's a Hart, they called him.
Yeah, so
Humper Hart. Yeah.
Hart.
As I said to my friends in the chat, I'm having trouble with Melon and I'm having trouble highlighting chats at the moment. I don't quite know how to do it without dropping out of the studio and leaving you guys alone and coming back in. I don't want to do that right now. So Christian Delorme, our great friend, has donated his $10 super chat. As a man who lifted, pushed, and pulled all my life, I found arthritis hit me at 50. How are your backs and knees, boys? So, Colin and Willie.
Really?
Mine now are screwed, both my ankles, my wrists, elbows, everything.
Yeah, we know what the wrists are bad from, but it's nothing to do with humping.
Thank you, Dr. Hart. Yeah. Thanks, Humper.
Yeah. You've got Humper and Wrister.
Dr. Humper.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
They must have taken a toll. I mean, come on. Even though you were young.
You know, they do. I mean, I don't know about Colin, but when you start going into, I think you can only do it for so long, and then you have to start going the personal, the tour manager. You've got to start taking a different route, otherwise you've been a coffin by the time you're 50. So I mean, I started doing tour management, personal management, as Colin did.
Yeah.
And that's probably the only thing that saved our backs from, well, when I say saved them, I've got a few more years of wear out of it, but
yeah, my knees suffered, but not from humping gear. It was all the football that we had to play with Richie.
Oh, with Richie, yeah. Well, yeah.
If you didn't play football,
you weren't in.
It didn't last long, really.
We're talking round ball football, right? Soccer, right?
Yeah, soccer.
Real football played with the feet.
Right. I'm just making sure the audience is clear about what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, soccer.
I do want to thank Christian for sending that super chat, and I think I need to play him a clip as a thank you.
Now, who's going to clean that up?
Thank you, Christian. Now, if Pope was here, he'd know who that band was, but he can't get back in. I'm definitely having a million problems. The thing is, if I drop out of the stream,
I guess.
I don't know if anyone will be left if I drop out.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with anything. I think it's a melon problem.
It is.
I've tried testing the link that we had to get in here, and it's not
frozen for me. And if
you're saying once we're in, we can't leave, kind of like Hotel California.
That's it, Hotel California, baby. You can never leave.
So anytime you like.
Yeah. So before we move, I mean, I'm going to flip back and look at some more of Willie's earlier stuff. But Colin, there's still a couple of things I wanted to mention. I just need to figure out how to put the damn thing up on screen. I'm going to share screen if this works, because everything stopped working. So here we go. So you were working for, in a sense, there was Purple Records were Deep Purple's old label were a big thing, and you ended up working for two bands.
I ended up working for Purple Records, and they sent me out with Tucky Buzzard.
Tucky Buzzard, now there's a name.
Yeah, hell of a band actually. But
I'm still in touch with Dave, the bass player.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Dave, what's his name?
Dave Maddox Brown. Yeah,
Maddox Brown. Yeah.
Tucky Buzzard. I'd forgotten all about them. I remember the name now, but I couldn't even name a record, which is weird.
No, I can't now.
Well, there's a little clip of them here, and I'm hoping we can get away with it. There's actually no video footage of them playing live, other than on a German show that I can't play because they copyright strike channels. So this is a little bit of their music, though. So bluesy sound. So not bad, you know.
Yeah.
Nice guitar. So you worked for them for what, at least a year?
About a year. 9 months or something.
Were they touring, headlining, or just with Purple and other bands?
A couple of gigs on their own, but mostly supporting stuff. They did a lot of Deep Purple shows to support.
Yeah, so that's Tucky Buzzard. As I say, I'd never heard of them, but that's an interesting track that I wouldn't mind hearing more of sometime. So there's a lot of the stuff on YouTube. As I say, very difficult to find a live performance of them. Oops, hang on.
Can't help you there.
What was the other band, Colin? Wasn't there Silverhead?
Silverhead, I didn't work for them, but they did a lot of support stuff.
Was that Michael DeBar?
Michael DeBar.
DeBar, Silverhead, Michael DeBar. later of Power Station after Robert Palmer left, and a bunch of other bands.
That's it. Yeah, they're all from that camp, weren't they?
Yeah, Pamela DeBar's brother, isn't it? Michael DeBar, Pamela DeBar.
Oh, Pamela DeBar, yeah,
the groupie.
The groupie, bless her.
I thought that was Michael's wife.
Well, yeah, the groupie.
Yeah, and then of course you hooked up with through Purple Records again. You hooked up with Elf.
Yeah, they came over to England to do an album, and I was sent to get them, and that was it. I was working for them for quite some time.
Yeah, and
when they left England, Ronnie said, "You got to come with us. You got to come with us."
Yeah.
So I moved to New York, upstate New York, to Cortland, which is where Ronnie's from. Lived there for about a year before we went to California with Richie to do the first ever rainbow thing.
Yeah, so Elf we're on Purple Records too, but that was your intro to Ronnie, and we've got a lot of Willie sent me a lot of pictures of him and Ronnie, so we're going to be showing those shortly. So that kind of then was eventually kind of pulled back into the Purple fold with Rainbow and so on. So it's like that tree, that family tree, don't fork. But Elf, magnificent video. And again, it's very difficult to find video footage of Elf back in the day.
Yeah, there are a few out there, but they're really hard to come by.
Yeah, and they're not great quality. Here's the only one I could really find. I'm going to flip forward a bit. Yeah. So it's taken from a bad angle, and the audio's in front of the guitar stack, so you can't really hear the band. But this is them. Hard
like a
rock
home
and stuff.
movie from back in the day, right?
Yeah,
That's
hard rock.
Gary, the drummer. Terribly sad story.
Bless him.
The way he died, he was staying with a drug dealer. He had nowhere else to live, and he was staying with the drug dealer. And the drug dealer got a call from some heavies, and the drug dealer wasn't there, but they got hold of Gary and literally tortured him to death.
Stabbed him.
Yeah, horrible. And Ronnie always felt so bad about that. So did Vicky Calandra too. She always felt bad about that.
I read Ronnie's book, and he talks about it in there, and it really devastated them. I mean, the band, it almost killed the band. I mean, then he ended up in Rainbow anyway.
He loved Chops. Chops was a great guy, wasn't he, Colin? He was a lovely
Hilarious.
man. Gentle soul, funny man, so accident prone.
Oh, yeah. Even Richie talks about all the things that went wrong.
Oh yeah.
We're doing a take in the studio one time, and he's playing away. And suddenly, there's no drums, and in the camera, you can see his head go down out of camera shot. And I'm like, Gary, what's going on? Gary, are you all right? He's like, I lost the filling.
No.
Lost the filling. Good Lord.
Richie's favorite story was he hurt his eye one time, really hurt his eye. He got drumstick, like he hit himself in the eye with a drumstick when he tossed it up in the air. And he got some stuff from the doctor to put on his eyeball because it was bruised and bleeding and stuff. And he put it in the other eye when he went to the bathroom and put it in
the wrong one? No, Lord.
He was blind for about a week.
It was a disaster.
Man.
He was
accident prone or what? Yeah.
Oh. He used to wear clogs, of all things, and he constantly tripping on the clogs. Did his ankle in.
How can you play drums in clogs?
Oh no, he didn't wear them.
He didn't play him. He just wore clogs. You know
Eddie Harden, right, Willie?
Yeah, bless him.
We went to Eddie's house one day with Chops, and he's sitting in Eddie's house and talking away, and he's wearing his clogs again. And he crosses his legs, the clog comes off and breaks the glass table.
Oh, man.
That is so chops, isn't it?
Oh, God.
That is chops. I mean, Ronnie adored this guy. He was such a lovely guy. He couldn't help it.
They were a tight bunch of guys. If you read Richie's book Rainbow in the Dark, they were very tight, and they worked hard. They were a brotherhood. What a band should be, you know. And he was devastated. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that led to Rainbow. But I think what I'd like to do is flip back to you, Willie, and show a little bit of your, because we're kind of converging now. But you did some stuff before. Before the Deep Purple Rainbow days.
Flash.
And this is a band called Flash.
Yeah.
How did you fall in with these guys?
These guys I purely met because a guy called Paul Newman and Chris Smythe were just creeping into the business, and they'd started doing their equipment. Or, like I probably said to you before, in those days, you didn't go to a roadie school.
Inventing it on the fly.
You couldn't go to a job center and go, I want to be a roadie. You always start off the same. You always had a friend that was in a band, and if you had a truck, they'd invite you along so they could get their gear in there. You could come along and have a few beers and have the women. And it was all mates helping mates. And I started doing a few university gigs with these guys in London, and they were just about to go off to the States, and they were opening for Three Dog Night. And Smoother called me up. Chris Smythe phoned me up about 3 weeks into the tour, and he said, "You've got to come out." I said, "Do what?" He said, "You've got to come to America." He said, "We've gone through 5 drum techs in like 2 weeks." He said, "Totally fucking useless."
Oh, man.
So my first trip to America, he said, "I spoke to the office. They're going to have your tickets ready. Pack your bags. You're flying you out to Florida." I thought,
exciting stuff.
So the first time I'm flying out to America, Florida, when I left England, it was freezing, and I had this big fur coat, huge black fur. So of course, everybody's looking at me kind of strange. And then when the doors open at the airport, I'm wearing this fucking coat. I went,
it would be 100.
Dude, yeah, I can imagine.
I'm having to carry this dog around with me for the next 3 weeks. But it was just great. All of a sudden, coming into a huge outdoor, one of those big arena football stadiums, and seeing a stage, and all the crowd, and watching Three Dog Night and these guys every night. And Flash were a good little band.
Sorry, did you say Flash?
Flash, yeah.
Yes.
You had to do that, didn't you?
I did.
Flash bastard.
We're all fans, buddy.
Yeah.
We're all fans.
I must admit, I don't recall the band, but I'm going to look into them now. Yeah.
That
was your first American trip. Yeah.
I'm still in touch with 3 of them. Pete, bless him, died probably about 6-7 years ago. Pete Banks, great player. And the rest of the guys are all living in America, Colin, Ray, and Mike.
Nice.
But they're still alive. We're in touch on Facebook, and they're good guys. They're a good band.
Maybe we'll get them on a show and talk about them.
Well, yeah, why not? I mean, I'm sure Colin wouldn't mind. Mike Huff's great, the drummer. I can put you in touch, probably.
Yeah, let's plan that. That would be fun to talk about them, and I can learn all about them and do some research first and listen to some songs.
Well, they loved me because every time we got on a plane, I'd go down the back of the plane with the air hostess. You get a uniform, and then come on down and start throwing peanuts and drinks at everybody up and down the up. So they thought I was value for money, and it was in those days you could do that and get away with it. Nowadays you'd be arrested. I mean,
yeah, indeed. And in fact, you probably didn't look good in that uniform. Was it in your hostess?
Trust me, I had good legs, Brian. Don't you listen to what Colin's got to say.
Yeah. Colin had the boobs, you had the legs. Colin had the boobs.
The first time I moved out there, we were doing a gig in Florida, and we staying at a motel. And when we walked into the bar, the first thing we saw was a piano. And Chris and everybody said, "Drink." I started playing the piano. We had a bit of fun. And then went out had a swim in the pool, came back for the evening session. And then after a few drinks, Chris said, let's nick the piano. I went, where are we going to put it? He said, in the room. So we dragged this piano out, ended it into the elevator, went up, put it in one of the rooms, and all our rooms were adjoining along the whole floor. So we went back down to the bar, forgot all about it, had a few more drinks, and all of a sudden this bemused guy comes in, or two people scratching their heads, going, what's going on? And then the barmaid and the manager came over and they were scratching their heads going, well, it was here earlier. You know, the piano.
No idea.
We were staying in this place for 3 nights, 3 days. And what we did is when the maids came along, we'd see which room they were doing, let them into the room, and then move it through to the adjoining doors.
Oh, dear Lord.
And we did this for 3 days. They couldn't figure out. The manager was pulling his hair out. They knew we had the piano, but couldn't find it.
Where is it? Yeah.
So the last day when we left, we got all the bags down, and we moved the piano and put it in the staff elevator. So, of course, we're standing checking out. All of a sudden, the elevator comes down, the door's up, there's this piano. They all went,
you know what would have been even better if that naked guy from Monty Python had been sitting playing it.
oh,
Playing it, right?
damn true. On the side. Yeah, like,
I've been here for days. What's up?
yeah.
Why weren't you listening?
Yeah, what's the matter with you people?
So Flash had a lot of fun with Flash, but I believe after that you encountered a certain Mr. Phil Collins.
Yes, once again, it was through Chris that was working with with Flash. He turned around and said, oh, they're looking for a drum tech out with Genesis. They couldn't get anybody. So I went, well, should I do it? And he went, yeah, go out. They're a good little band. I went, okay. So I broached the right people. They'd called me up and I went down and checked out the kit and met the guys. They're okay. Phil seemed a little bit reserved, bit on edge. I didn't know how to handle him. Another left-handed player, you know, like Pacey. I found it a little bit odd after the second gig, keep having to swap it all around. I was kidding.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was left-handed.
Yeah.
I guess that means that the hi-hat's on one side instead of the other side.
Everything's asked about face. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. But, you know, I got into the gig and got to really love the band. And I was doing that tour, selling England by the pound. And we'd just done Europe and we just got over to England. And I remember we finally got to Colston Hall in Bristol. And after the show, I was just sick as a dog and couldn't pack the gear away. I was just really, really ill, and they had to leave me there. So they carried on touring, and I was in this Holiday Inn in Bristol for like 3 or 4 days. I couldn't even travel.
Oh dear.
So I was really, and so that was my gig gone. But I enjoyed the time that I spent with them. That was great.
Yeah, and that's still one of my favourite albums to this day of all time.
And it's still right to this day, selling England by the pound.
Oh, great. And the song itself is very prophetic.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great album.
Sheep within their pen, that kind of thing. But,
yes. Yeah. Very prophetic.
Yes. Peter nailed it on that one. But yeah, it's interesting because we did have Mal Craggs on the show, who was Phil Collins' right-hand man for many years. And imagine how things would have turned out if you hadn't been sick.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a shame. He's just withered, isn't he? He's got so many...
Oh, I know. He's
arthritis and things and backs, and I mean, it's horrible. It's
but then you also made the jump to the purple world then, like Colin.
Yeah, that was once again purely by mistake. I knew John's first wife, and she lived in Barnes, which is just over
I'll
the.
Bet you did.
Say no more. No, as it happens, it's all legit. I know other. I mean, you need to. I'll ask Mickey Lee that. No, I just. We were just friends, and I met John. Really got on with him really well, and we used to go down to the Sun Inn in Barnes and have a few pints and chat and generally put the world to rights. He was great company, and a little while later he said, "Oh, I need a roadie. We need another roadie. You up for it?" And I said, "Well, fucking Deep Purple, fuck off." Of course, yes. God damn it, yes.
No, not the biggest band in the world. No.
Yeah,
no,
sure, not the best rock and roll band in the
and
world.
isn't that Colin guy working for them? No,
Yeah. I said I would if Colin wasn't working.
Not this lineup.
No. So of course
well,
that was
this is it. It's two different lineups. Colin was Mark II. You're Mark III.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark II is, I think, the better of the bands. Yeah. This band had some good stuff going. Glenn was so wanted to be Stevie Wonder, which was a shame.
He did, and but he had that lovely high falsetto voice he
man,
could do.
Ronnie always said, "Forget Coverdale as a singer. The voice in that band is Glenn
Hughes is a great singer.
He's got a killer voice. Always has done, and a great bass player. Great bass player.
And of course, you would then get involved in if Colin was involved with the Made in Europe, Japan period, you were in the Made in Europe period. I do have a clip, just a little clip of them that I'd like to play, even though it'll get us struck to hell and back. But hey, what the hell? It's like that's life.
Hey, say lovely.
Yeah. So this is the California Jam. Intro.
I was there.
Well, Colin was doing Burn, which is a killer intro to this.
Oh, they did that on the tour. Burn is
yeah, this is a great Mark III track. It's just I do love this intro. Sound pretty loud.
Yeah, those Martin bass bins.
Yes. Colin's hanging around somewhere there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you forget how loud they were. They even were loud.
Yeah.
Compared to, I guess, the black and death metal bands of today, they're nothing, but at the time, ferociously loud.
Yeah, I've seen a few bands that are definitely incredibly loud over the years.
Oh, but you have, mate. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ear-splittingly.
Yeah, but I still would have to say bands like Deep Purple are a different breed of loud.
Well, they had the amplification for one.
Yeah, you can still hear what they're singing. That's the thing, yeah. My doctor actually said, asked me when I last saw him, I said, why don't you check my hearing? And he said, well, after all the years on the road, he said, you must be virtually deaf. I said, he said, yeah, pardon. He said, what are the symptoms? I said, they're a yellow cartoon family that live in Springfield.
That deserves a video to be played. I just got to find the right one.
Oh, no.
Wow. People were these were for super chats, but nobody's super chatting me. So yeah. Oh, I've got this. This is a new one I've uploaded today.
Infamy! Infamy! They've all got it in for me.
Colin and Willie will know exactly what that is.
Exactly. Carry on, Cleo.
Carry on,
You've
Cleo.
all got it in for me.
Funnily enough, Cleo wasn't. She was Valerie Leon or somebody. She wasn't swarthy.
No, that was
Valerie Leon.
No,
I can't remember her name, but she was hot. Yeah.
Something Barry.
Not Barbara Windsor.
No,
she didn't.
Somebody Barry.
Yeah,
Courtney,
she was pretty hot. Yeah.
Can't remember.
Yeah, infamy. They've all
got it in for me.
This is people. If you super chatted me, you'd get more of these.
Oh,
this is me begging for money.
Man.
Begging
man.
for money.
He's got that pan out. Look out.
Panhandling. You know we don't do this show for money. It's demonetized for one thing. I'm not getting anything out of this. So.
Right.
Yeah. So the purple era. So you guys didn't work together in purple in that era, or were you around at the same time?
We probably crossed paths.
I was on this tour with Purple, but I was working for Purple Records with Tucky Buzzard.
Right.
And then the following tour, I was with Elf supporting this lineup with Deep Purple.
Yeah.
So I was around, Willie and I were around each other all the time.
Yeah.
These, like 2 or 3
There was a
years.
certain frisson of excitement when you met each other all the time.
Oh, we had great fun.
Hardly.
Yeah.
No.
I love this picture of at the California, because Richie smashes the guitar up at the end. He gets pissed off with the camera and smashes it. Yeah.
Well, what I'm noticing in the pictures today, people have neck beards. He has neck chops. Wow, man. Those things go down all the way down to his Adam apple, don't they?
Are you saying he's got guitar chops and neck chops?
There you go. He's got all the chops.
So this is the lineup for that particular gig. It's legendary gig. I mean, Purple, Sabbath, although Ozzy was terrible, I think. But Black Oak, Arkansas, great band.
Yeah.
They rocked it that day. They absolutely rocked it.
That's a great lineup, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
the Eagles.
Wow.
The Eagles.
Yeah,
the Eagles are 4th on the bill, 5th on the bill.
Yeah, they must have just been getting started, man. Wow.
Yeah. What a great gig, though. It's a Purple nailed it that day, though. It was just brilliant. Even though it's Mark III lineup, but they were still brilliant.
Yeah.
So I guess Stormbringer, Willie, you would have been involved in this era of albums.
Yeah.
Stormbringer, and then we move on to,
and then Rainbow. Yeah.
So
Rainbow. Yes.
So tell me,
when they done this album, Richie already obviously knew he was going to leave, because he snuck all of Elf out and everybody out to Munich to do this album on the QT, and then come back to England and carried on finishing off his Deep Purple thing before saying, right, it's my last show tomorrow night, I'm fucking off. And he'd already had this album in the bag, and that was two back-to-back albums from Munich, Arabella House, Musicland. And
so what was happening, though, at the end of that Mark III lineup of Purple? Like, it was clearly something was coming to an end. Richie wanted to leave. How did it feel for you guys working for them? Did you know what was going on?
I obviously knew about the album because I went out to do that album with them, so I was on top of it. But no one told you anything. We're just thinking, oh, he's trying out. We were told, oh, we're just trying out an album, trying to put. Richard already made up his mind. He was leaving. It just didn't tell me.
I knew all about it for a long time.
Yeah.
He snuck Elf into a studio out in Minneapolis to record 16th Century Greensleeves, I think.
The first Rainbow album.
Guys from Elf.
Yeah.
So we had to keep that one quiet as well.
Yes.
And the very last show with Richie was in Paris. Remember that?
Yeah.
So what happened at that show? I mean, did the rest of the band know it was the last show?
Was that E.T.?
No, that was a Rainbow tour. Eric.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, all the band. I mean, it was pretty sad for the rest of the band, but Richie was thrilled to be leaving. I mean, absolutely thrilled.
Cool.
Is that because he just wanted to do his own thing, or was there other tensions in the band that he just...
Well, he liked being in control, basically.
Yeah. And he was... he wasn't thrilled with the direction the band were taking at the time. He didn't like the...
Glenn Hughes.
Too funky.
Soul music kind of stuff.
Which is fair enough. Yeah, it's fair enough.
But
I mean, when it actually did happen, obviously, the first thing you think is, oh, shit, I've got to find a gig. But it was never a problem, because as soon as that happened, you had 5 band members wanting to do the solo project. So it was forever in the studio with either Coverdale or Glenn or whoever doing a new album. So work was never an issue, really.
Yeah, so I mean, they were all going to splinter off and do their own thing. So I guess you guys were neutral on all the other stuff. It was going to be opportunities for you guys to do one or more of these things.
Well, I was told in Paris, I was told that I was going to be the tour manager for Rainbow.
Yeah.
And I was like, I beg your pardon?
This is
Yeah,
great, though.
you're the man. I was like, holy crap.
And I was told I wasn't.
Sorry, Willie.
You were going to be tour manager, but you were recording with them, though, Willie.
I went out and did the first album with Rainbow, yeah.
Yeah, we got the Arabella house together for
Yes.
several
Now, was that the time I put all the soap suds in the fountain?
Yes, in the fountain outside, yeah.
And
I got a lot of shit for that.
I got bored. So they had these two huge fuck-off fountains outside this big plaza.
Right.
And I got bored, so I'd gone to the cupboard in the studio and found these big tubs, 5-litre tubs of concentrated soap liquid. So I went down and tipped 5 litres in and sat there and had a cigarette and went, nothing happened. So I went back down and got another one.
More.
I think I put about 3 or 4 of these things in then, not even considering that it had to go through the filter system and then come out. And when we came up for a break, all the people outside were covered in froth and bubbles.
I wish I had images of it. I wish I had a photo.
There's
That's great.
bubbles for days.
It's like a Rolling Stones video. It's only
The
talking
thing is,
roll.
a few years later, when I went back with Whitesnake, they'd seen my name on the list. They knew I'd done it, and they'd emptied the bloody ground.
They didn't stop you, but they prevented you from doing
They made sure.
Oh no!
Oh man!
Right. I just wanted to apologise to everybody that I can't highlight chats. There's a problem with Melon right now. Our great friend, my great friend Christian Delorme, has tipped another $10 Canadian, and he says, "Imagine my shock, a Scotsman who wants money."
Shock horror.
Shock horror probe. I've always wanted it. I've just never had it.
Willie.
Play the Sean Connery backhand clip, please. I have that clip of him hitting the girl. I don't have it uploaded right now, but I do have an equally good Scottish one. This one.
If it's no Scottish, it's crap!
This is Scotland at the time the temperature dropped.
We, on the other hand, are colonised by wankers.
Trouble with Scotland is that it's full of Scots.
Let's get pissed! And your ale there. All you've got to... All right, we have a piper who's down. You want my body and you think I'm sexy. Come on, sugar, let me know. 3, 4.
Well, I've just come down from the Isle of Skye. I'm over big in the Montfordshire. The lassie shoulder when I go by. I don't know, away to true
Nights when we sang like a heavenly choir of the light, and the times of the frolic time.
I think I can smell shite. Yes, I can definitely smell shite.
So, Christian, my brother, you get the full Scottish montage, not just the clip.
Perfect.
Great.
The basic rollers. Boys, did you never work with the rollers?
No. No.
I'm not surprised.
If you did, your street cred would have gone it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell me.
You'd never get another gig again.
I don't think I realized until you showed that clip that Linda was sporting a mullet.
She was. Linda had one of the biggest mullets in history, yeah.
Called the mullet of Kintyre.
The mullet
Right?
of
What happened to Mark D?
I know. Where's Mark? He's waiting for the next
helping.
Jethro Tull.
I think he's helping his wife with groceries. I think is what
He's waiting for the next Jethro Tull reference. So,
Yeah, I got a Jethro Tull story for him when he comes.
Indeed. So, anyway, both you guys were involved with Rainbow. You, Willie, from a recording, and you, Colin, from a tour management perspective. I mean, I adore Rainbow. I adore Dio and Graham Bonnet. Graham Bonnet's going to be on this show
Yes.
Rainbow?
On June
Who is
the
that?
19th,
Who's Rainbow?
Graham Bonnet will be guesting on this show on June the 19th.
Brilliant.
Love Graham Bonnet. It's going to be
That'd be
awesome.
cool.
We showed these pictures earlier of you, Willie, working with, and you know, it's a salutary lesson there to people that if you're going to show your arse, work out a bit harder. No, sir.
Do you know what?
You don't have to zoom in on it, Brian.
My ass was so well known. You've got no idea.
It was known by a lot of people.
Here's a quick story, right? A true story. We're on the tour with Dio. The bus pulls into a truck stop. I'm in my bunk. I'm aware we've stopped, so I poke my head out. Get my trews on, get my bag, run into the store, get chocolate milk, crisp, packet of cigarettes. And as I'm at the checkout, I see our bus pulling out. I've gone, oh, fuck. So the guy behind me went, hey, man, is that your bus? It's cool. I said, yeah, it's Dio. He went, oh, man, I'd love to meet. I said, have you got a car? He went, yeah. I said,
you're going to meet him.
Chase that thing, you're going to meet him. He went, okay. So we get in this truck. And as we overtake the truck, I get my ass out and I moon the bus driver. So the next thing I see is Vinny's face going, that's Willie's ass. He knew my fucking ass.
Didn't recognise your face.
They pulled the bus over and they went, that's how you know, what can I say?
Oh, that's funny.
I used to moon before every show, go out and moon the audience before the band even went on.
You know, I may well have seen that at some gigs. You know, I may have seen that. I may have seen that.
That was me. Thank you. I started that.
This is Fergie.
Oh,
Richie's
bless him.
guitar tech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fergie, yeah.
And Richie's a Strat man, of course, isn't it? It's all Strats.
Yeah.
Some of the Rainbow gigs.
I remember that one.
I think this might have even been the first Monsters of Rock that they headlined with Priest, Scorpions, Saxon. So yeah, that clip I played earlier of the guy smashing his guitar, it was Saxon. Just to let everybody know.
Mm.
One of
Saxon
my favorite
drugs
bands.
and rock and roll.
Saxon Drugs and Rock and Roll, one of my favorite bands. What a lineup! The anomaly there is the Canadian band April Wine, who
April Wine. They just look like they don't need to be there.
They were
really.
Never heavy rock. So that's,
no,
yeah.
They were a good band, but they weren't heavy.
So Willie, this Cozy and Cozy.
Cozy. Now that on the left, I'm pretty sure is
it's Eric.
It's got to be Eric Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the sweet Scandinavian promoter, and this guy was totally fearless. This is the guy that you'd strip him bollock naked, tie him up, and fly him in over the drum set while there's a drum solo going on. And people would be going, oh, you know. He was totally nuts, this guy. He was a great guy. And
he was naked more times than he was clothed, I think.
Oh, he was.
Sounds like the same for Willie, though. Willie was the same.
Eric Clapton threw him off a train in Germany.
That's right.
Naked in the snow.
No passport. No passport.
You know, I was in the military and we did the same things. So it sounds like the same ethos. Like, you know, you're in trouble now. You're getting thrown out of this plane and it's in the snow. You're like, we're going to leave you here. Cozy Powell, though, great guy. I've seen Cozy Powell with about 5 different bands in my lifetime. Like, he was
fantastic.
He was a
then,
good guy.
So we'll go back to Rainbow a little bit because of Colin's involvement with them, but you then moved on to working with Whitesnake.
Yeah.
I guess because David, you know, you knew David from Mark III Purple, and he said, do you want to do some stuff with me?
Yeah, he just, well, basically at that stage of the game, the office then went, you're going in to do an album, you're going to pick David up. You know. Okay.
And you were fine. I mean, obviously it's work. You're fine with that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was fine with that. And I loved the band. I thought it was a really, really good band.
This lineup is the one that I love, and I saw them live with Bernie Marsden and Mickey Moody and
Ian Pace, John Lord.
Yeah, brilliant lineup. This one's for Mark if he's here. He's not here now. He's not paying attention.
Are you there, Mark?
This was specifically for Mark.
Swing Auditorium. Wow.
So where is the swing?
And Whitesnake. Wow.
Where is the
Swing
swing
Auditorium was where the hell was it?
It's in Swing.
San Bernardino, was it?
Oh,
Avalon, that's an American promoter, isn't it? That's
California.
Yeah.
I think Swing Auditorium was, yeah.
So I've been waiting the whole show for Mark for this, and he's not here. So he's
Where
gonna
is
be-
he?
Well,
Who do you tell, X?
I had a story for him about Tull.
Oh, well, you can still tell it, though.
Oh.
Tell the tell. Tell you what, I got to take a quick break so Dustin and others can vamp for me, but you tell that story.
Which story?
and
Well,
The
I
story
want
about
him to
Tull.
hear it.
I'll be back in 2 minutes.
I know where you're
Right.
going. as well.
Yeah, my Whitesnake experience was all late 80s.
Yeah, I was fixing to say it's 80s for me too. I knew about their music when they first got started, but yeah, the 80s album that they had that big hit with Here I Go Again. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was everywhere. Everybody had a copy of that thing. It was
Tony
crazy.
Katane on this car hood, yeah.
Oh yeah. now Tawny Katane, she was dating I think Coverdale, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the lead singer always gets the good-looking chick, doesn't he?
Yeah, but she soon had all his money away.
Yeah, I was fixing to say she looked like she was going to command a lot of that. But But how was it when you first started working with them? I mean, wow, that must have been something that you'd been with Deep Purple, and now they're fracturing off and doing their own things.
Yeah.
I mean, it must have been like when Van Halen lost David Lee Roth and he went and did his own thing. It must have been something else.
It was good. I mean, it was before John and Ian joined the band. There was a different drummer, a guy called Dave Dowell, and the keyboard player was a drunken Scotsman. Oh, he's not here. He's Brian's great lad. Brian, he was a great lad. And Mickey and Bernie and Neil and David. And then, of course, when John came in and Ian, that kind of just that's when it gelled.
Mm-hmm.
I think as Whitesnake and then great music, great players. They were good players. Loved it. And it was basically it's almost like being with Deep Purple again, really.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, they were definitely they had more commercial success than Rainbow did. But it didn't happen for them right away. That's for sure.
Rainbow was a better band, though.
They were. No doubt. I'd
Exactly.
agree with that. But as far as commercial wise, Whitesnake, they went through the roof. What do you what's up over there, Colin? I saw something there. What was it?
No, I was just agreeing that Rainbow was a better band.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think so too. Well, you see what my backdrop is. It's not Whitesnake, man. Yeah.
You see, when David actually suddenly went and started getting the good-looking, long-haired boys in the band, I went. But that's when they, as you rightly say, Josh.
That's when they started making a ton of bread too,
that's
right?
They started getting the good-looking boys, and
Hi, Brian.
Who's this weird guy?
I don't know.
Keep going.
Who's this stranger?
I have to go and shake hands with the unemployed.
Well,
he's a foreigner.
Whitesnake was able to take advantage of the MTV generation, and put out videos that got a lot of airplay on MTV because they were more commercial friendly.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Rainbow was doing videos too, but they were more like midnight special type of videos. It was the actual band actually playing on stage kind of thing.
Yep.
Go ahead.
This is the era I love of Whitesnake. This era, and I saw them live.
I just see a Jethro Tull and Whitesnake poster.
Oh,
you're way late, man. They've been dying to tell you a Jethro Tull story, buddy.
Sorry.
I missed the Jethro Tull story too because
I haven't told it yet.
He hasn't told it yet.
Now's
He
the chance.
is going to restrain himself until Mark is here.
Do it, Colin.
Thank you.
I've forgotten it now. Jeez.
Yep.
Was it about a codpiece?
No. Rainbow were recording in Paris. I don't know if you guys heard this story, but Ian Anderson told it as well. We were recording at Chateau Aéroville in Paris during, I think, Long Live Rock and Roll. And heard that Jethro Tull were going to play in Paris somewhere. So Richie said, "Oh, we've got to go. You've got to get us in." So I made arrangements. I got some tickets and passes and stuff for the show. When I picked up the tickets, they were in front row. Ian Anderson had given us front row seats.
Nice.
Wow. So we're sitting there, and about 3/4 through the show, Ian Anderson jumps off the stage with a microphone and sits in Richie's lap and carries on singing. And Richie just wanted to crawl into a hole. He was so embarrassed. It was fantastic though. And Richie loved Ian Anderson. I mean, adored the guy.
Wow.
Well, Richie likes the Ian Anderson too. Is into a lot of older music and medieval and beyond.
Yep.
I think
Renaissance music.
That's what the attraction was with Richie. I think. Yeah.
Well, we saw him at Long Beach too. Richie wanted to go when we were in Long Beach. He was playing there, and we took him to Long Beach to see.
Yeah.
He loved him.
Oh,
I mean,
Tull always did a great show too. I mean, they're very
he
theatrical.
was great. Tull, yeah,
great performers. Yeah, really good. Yep.
Yeah. So Willie, you got a couple of photos here of you and
Willie.
This is. There's a few pictures I think I might have sent you, and this is one of them where Cozy and obviously John are no longer with us.
No, it's sad.
And there's another picture where I think there's 3 or 4 of us.
Well, that's a tour T-shirt from that era with Mel Galley. Yeah, Mel Galley is the guitar player. Yeah.
Oh, Mel, he's a lovely guy, Mel.
Yeah.
And I always love that original version of "Here I Go Again" better.
Me too. It's my favorite song by Whitesnake. Always has been.
Because we had I remember a kid got on our bus and in high school, and he's playing this music. I'm like, oh God, this is awesome. Who is this? He's like, Whitesnake. I'm like, well, where'd you get it? He's like, oh, the flea. Yeah, he's like the flea market in Portchester had a a guy that would import music, so you had to go there on the week. I'm like, I gotta get this tape.
I love the
back then it was really tough to hear imported music or new stuff, and the
early albums are great. Like "Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City," songs like that. Ready and Willing. This is the gig I was at. Whitesnake, 26 August 81, Edinburgh Playhouse.
That's it.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. What
Was that your ticket?
That's my ticket. Yeah. And that was the Mickey Moody, Bernie Marsden era. It's just
Who
awesome.
the hell did that? I mean, look, that's pretty hard to fake one of those, isn't it? Please don't
fake. The thing is, it looks like a complimentary ticket. It isn't. I paid $5 for it. So, or £5.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, looks like you're a VIP there. Admit the circle. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there you go. This is the one. Yeah, Mel Galley, Cozy, and John gone. John Sykes is still with us.
Sykes is great.
Yeah, it's horrible to see those and go, well, they're all gone. That's horrible.
It is terrible. Yeah, I mean, at least you're still there, though.
Yeah,
only just at the back. I'm just a little head in the background.
You're still with us.
Yeah, you did a lot of photo bombing back in those days, didn't you?
I think that's the 81 US tour.
That's right. Yeah, Jethro Tull tour.
Yes. Yeah. Tull not in picture.
No,
that's you up there. That's you there.
That's me trying to get Coverdale's head. Yeah.
Get on the bloody bus, you bastard.
Come on, you lot. We'll get out of here. Come on. No time to fucking
that's Dio. We'll come back to Dio. I want to save the Dio for the last part of the show. But so it's not. I mean, there were some great Whitesnake albums, and they had great guitar players. Not only the Mickey Moody, Bernie Marsden era, but John Sykes, Mel Galley, Steve Vai.
Vai, that's the guy I remember.
Yeah, he's had a lot of good guitar players in his time. So.
Oh yeah.
So just going back to you, Colin, and you at this point were still doing a lot of. You did all the Rainbow tours up to what, 84?
Right up to 84, yeah.
Yeah, so stuff like this with the Rainbow stage.
Oh, that was a nightmare, that thing.
Yeah, I've got a video of your compatriots in the road crew putting it up. My God, that's some job.
Wow.
Absolute nightmare.
Yeah, but what a band, though. I mean, Cozy Powell, if everyone's never seen Cozy Powell live, and I've seen him a number of times, really, what a drummer. Just phenomenal. Dance with the Devil. Do you remember that single, Dance with the Devil? Only man to have drumming hits on his own.
Willie's off again.
He's off again. He's like me, small bladder at this age, you know. So this was the first vinyl rainbow album I purchased in my life.
Another great album.
Yeah,
what a great album cover, man.
I had recorded the previous two albums on cassette from my siblings. I bought this one.
Good man.
It's a great album.
I draw portraits on commission, and that is a great album cover. That is awesome. Yeah.
So
it's a great sketch.
While we're at it, I would like to play just a little tiny little clip of Rainbow in 1977 playing this very song. So bear with me. Is that Don Airy?
No, David Stone.
Who's it saying?
That's David Stone.
Oh, right, okay, pre-Don Airy.
Great set.
When I was 13, this was my favorite album of all time. And I guess Ronnie was absolutely loving this stuff. I mean,
oh, yeah, you can tell.
he really adored this band in this era.
Yeah.
Came into his own. I mean, the Elf albums are great, but he really came into his own.
Yeah.
God, I miss him.
Don't we all?
He was a trumpet player as a kid, and that helped him with his vocals. He said, "Is that true?" Or
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
his voice is just amazing.
You read his book, he talks all about it. There's videos of him on YouTube of his 1950s singles when he was like a young crooner, and then there's clips of him in the 70s playing in band, the 60s playing in bands. The man really evolved, but he had such depth. His voice was like 4 octaves, 5 octaves. But yeah, I love this song. It just kicks ass. Anyway, that was the kind of tours you were managing, Colin, yeah?
Aye, brilliant. I'm still in touch with Bob Daisley, the bass player from
Bob,
as well, and David Stone. So
got to get these guys on a show, Colin. We could
I
talk
can
for
certainly have a
hours.
word. Yeah.
We could talk for hours about that stuff. But yeah, magnificent band, Rainbow. It must have been I mean, these are world tours as well. You're doing.
Oh yeah, we certainly got around.
Did Japan? You did a lot of Japan.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I love Japan.
Yeah.
Me too. 16 tours I did there.
Yeah.
And just how different is that?
Huh?
How different is it setting up tours in Japan? I mean, it seems well organized there.
It was probably one of the easiest tours to set up of all of them.
Yeah.
All you did was make a phone call to Mr. Udo, who was the promoter.
He was
great. One of his production people, and say, we'll be there at such and such. And everything was done. Everything was done. Didn't have to do anything. It was heaven.
Courtney's wanting a bass player stream, so we should get Bob Daisley on yet.
But Japan was always a nightmare for Ronnie because he could never eat. He always lost weight in Japan when we did it.
Like a meat and potatoes man? Didn't like that.
He didn't eat veg. He hated sushi. He couldn't eat raw fish and rice. He didn't like any of that. And he was a nightmare trying to get food down in the back. They only unless it was a McDonald's, but other than that, it would be the old skewered chicken was on the hibachi. That's about the only thing he'd eat. He'd always lose weight on the road in Japan.
Interesting, yeah. So if you wanted to go on an enforced diet, send them on tour in Japan.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah,
works the opposite for me. I ate everything.
Same as that. Yeah, sushi.
I've eaten all the sushi.
So Pete Den Katz mentioning Jimmy Bain, another legend. Jimmy Bain, great Scotsman.
Jimmy, yeah,
great player. These
Yeah,
guys, like these bands, you guys worked with them. Rainbow, Whitesnake, Dio. They had the greatest musicians coming in and out of those bands.
Well, Ronnie wanted him on board in Dio because he'd worked with him in Rainbow, so it was like an obvious choice for him. And obviously, well, I'm sure if he could have done, he would have got Cozy as well. But
Cozy was strong enough to say, no,
he had his own mind. Cozy was good.
I just wanted to give a shout out, and again, my apologies to the chat. I can see all your chats. I just can't highlight them tonight for whatever reason. So Christian Delorme, thank you, brother, has donated another $5 Canadian, and he has a question, which is: have you guys ever worked in Canada?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Recorded there too.
So what kind of stuff have you done in Canada, you guys? Because I'm living in Canada too.
Toured with Rainbow and Purple in Canada. So did dozens of gigs up there.
Yeah,
do you do any outdoor stuff in Toronto, like festivals, or?
I can't remember doing any festivals up there, but and of course Deep Purple recorded in just up in Marin Heights at Le Studio.
Okay.
We spent quite a bit of time up there. Fantastic studio. It's all dilapidated and deserted now, but what a great place it was. That's where Rush did most of their albums.
Yeah, and Rush.
No.
Fantastic band, the Rush beer. Cheers, everybody. Henderson Brewing. Oh, what you got in there? Hang on, I gotta highlight you. Hang on.
What the hell are you drinking now?
Oh my
Moretti.
gosh.
Oh, Moretti Italiano.
Sì.
Italiano. Bird's eye Italiano.
I found a UFO beer, but
all right. Parliamo Bird's eye. So
it's time for me to take a trip. So
Corona.
Little Iris of unknown origin with lime.
Is that the 9 Coronas? 9 Coronas. So this is also my ticket, Colin. This is
Bingley Hall.
This was one of the biggest gigs and finest gigs I've ever been at in my life.
Look at the price.
£4.
Yeah. Now, I'd been to gigs before this, but they were all in Edinburgh, like in the Usher Hall or the Odeon. This was the first cattle barn.
Bingley Hall. Great.
It was mental, and I had one of the greatest nights of my life, which is why I'm so happy Graham Bonnet's coming on the show.
That'd be cool.
Excellent. Yeah.
That was a gig and a half. Again, Cozy Powell does the 1812 overture on the drums. What more could you ask for?
Didn't we do 2 nights there that time?
Yeah, I don't know whether I was the first or the second. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because who came to see us? Bruce Dickinson was at those shows.
Yeah, and that because he would be Iron Maiden would be. I was into the new wave of British heavy metal. I saw all those bands at the time. Most of them in clubs though, smaller places like Saxon, Samson, Iron Maiden, Diamond Head. This one was a big event.
I remember it well. Loved it.
4 days before my 17th birthday. So I was in heaven.
These guys are all too young.
I know it. The babbies.
All of you.
What a gig, though. What a gig. It's one of the, and to think that you were in the same building, Colin.
I was. Yeah.
I was alive when this show happened. I was like almost one.
There you go.
Spiritually, Dustin, you were.
Holy
boy.
I was 9 going on 10. I just, at this time, I was just getting into hard rock and metal.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky enough to be able to go to some of these gigs, and I treasure them forever.
Yes, there's an advantage to being old enough to see them, right?
Oh, there we go.
So
that's where I was at.
So after, so Colin, you moved from, I guess after the Jolin Turner era up to about 84, you then moved over back to Deep Purple.
Yes, when Richie decided he was going to go back to Purple, he actually said to the manager, Bruce Payne, he said, I want him to come with me. And I was astounded, but I said, absolutely.
Was he not a man to express, gratitude or I like you and I think you're good?
No. Not a lot, was he, Willie?
A curmudgeon. No. A curmudgeon.
No. Yeah.
No, not at all. No, that's a compliment in itself that he got you in there, Colin.
Yeah, absolutely. It was brilliant, fantastic reunion, and what a great album.
Yeah,
it is. I love this album. It was, I think it was the right time for them to get back.
Yeah,
enough time had passed.
They all actually liked each other again for that reunion tour before the rust started to set in again.
Yeah, kicked Richie out, and I remember Roger saying, we finally decided the best idea was to kick the guitar player out. I like this poster of this, the Perfect Strangers tour is one of the gigs on here at the Spectrum, and then the other ones, I love them. George Thorogood, who I love and I've seen many times. Hall & Oates supported by Big Country.
Wow.
What a
Wow.
And then Roger Waters. So that gig at the Spectrum, you must have been managing that one.
Spectrum Philly was a great gig.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame Courtney's not in here because she's from Philadelphia. That's why I picked this one.
Hello.
She can't get back in, unfortunately. Melon screwed up.
Saw him at the Meadowlands in Brendan Byrne Arena.
Oh, that was a great gig too.
That was great, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the gang.
Oh, look at the state of me.
Look at the hair.
There's a lot of hair in that photograph.
And I don't mean the girls.
Right?
Yeah. Wow.
But really, are you a clone of John Lord or at this point, or are you're his stunt double?
I think John's a lot better looking than I am. But
you often had to stand in for him.
But I'm between two women, and he's not. So that's
who's winning, right?
The road manager effect. Sorry, Courtney, that you couldn't get back in here because I wanted that one for you, the Spectrum. And then this is an extra. Here's an extra of you and George. Now tell me the tale of this one.
This was at Ian Pace's house in Henley.
Yeah.
Big party. And we were recording at what was Dave Gilmore's old house, which was West Side Studios, I think it was called. And Pacey said, I'm having a party, come on over, everybody come to the house. So I drove a couple of guys over and I knocked at the door and George Harrison opened the door. I almost shit myself.
And you went, who the hell are you?
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, one of my all-time heroes.
Yeah.
You know what? After we did one of the Reading shows with Whitesnake, we'd gone back to John Lord's house and had a party, and George was there too.
Yeah, it was always at one of those houses.
Wasn't he big friends with John and Ian?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, he's a great lad, George, and Colin will tell you, he was a great guy. I love him.
Fantastic. Well, during the course of the evening, I was in. Pacey had this snooker room with a full-size snooker table in his house, and I was in there playing snooker with one of the other guys that was there. George Harrison wanders in and goes, "Is this a serious game?" I said, "Well, not really, but do you want to play?" He said, "No, I'm looking for somewhere to lie down."
Well, he was feeling very zen at the time, I guess.
Well, at John's party, Magnet had organised a couple of strippers to come down from London. All in the best possible taste. And what had happened was, when the first stripper came down, we're all in John's main lounge area, which has got like a mini stage and his grand piano and huge doors leading onto the garden with curtains. And as the chick was taking off all the gear, I was picking it all up. And I went into the snooker room in John's place next door, got all her stockings and all her gear on, and came back with a fez on, right? Came back in to introduce the next chick. I stood there and did about 5 or 10 minute ad lib, told jokes and did Tommy Cooper impersonations. And I invited the strip, then introduced the next stripper. She came on. I went next door into snooker room and got changing. And there's this on the door. And George must like snooker rooms because the door opened and George went, "All right, if I come in?" I said, "Fuck off." You know, as you do to the Beatles.
As you do, yeah.
And he smiled. I said, "Come on in." And he said, "I haven't laughed like that for so long." That was just brilliant. And we sat and had a chat, and he went, "Tell me, do you by chance partake in marching powder?" And I went, "It has been known, George." He said, "Follow me." So we got John Lord's bathroom, and he racks out did a couple of lines, and we sat and just talked about my granddad and Liverpool, and just fucking brilliant. He's such a nice man.
It is incredible because I have heard that despite the reputation of being the quiet one, he did like to party, and he was a fun guy who liked to talk, and he was backstage at all these gigs. Even though he was apparently really heavily into the rock scene.
He was an all-round nice guy. You know?
Willie will remember when we did the concerto tour with Ronnie and everybody.
Albert Hall.
Albert Hall. George was at the Albert Hall.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
He had a box up the back, watched the whole show, and I had to go get him and bring him back. I think I told you this, Brian. I'm bringing him backstage, and remember there was like 250 people backstage. It was a zoo. And there am I trying to get Harrison through all these people, and they go, "No, George Harrison, no."
Yeah, it was no.
The band weren't ready for him yet, so I shoved them into the production office with the crew.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'll come back and get you, George. Just stay in there."
Just stay here.
Stay here. Just use your tool anyway.
I went back about 20 minutes later, and he'd been smoking with the crew. And he was out of it. He's all in there.
He's great.
This reputation of him as a recluse is bullshit. That was his public persona. In private, he liked the party, and he was at every. Speaking of that particular gig, I made a video about this song because I love this song. I made a video. You should check it out. And I never knew at the time it was Ronnie singing. All back in the day, I didn't know. It's a big hit in Britain. It was Ronnie James Dio's first gold single before Rainbow and everything. But Roger Glover was the man behind it.
Good album.
This is from the butterfly ball thing that Roger did, and it shows Ronnie's range of beautiful. Just beautiful range, and he didn't just do metal stuff, he could sing anything.
Anything.
Yes.
Beautiful,
No doubt.
There's another track he sings on this called "The Party's Over."
Oh,
it's when the butterfly ball and everybody's going home. He just sings this lovely.
It's beautiful. And then there's something about a dream.
Sitting in a dream.
Sitting in a dream. It's beautiful.
Sitting in a dream, yeah.
This was it. So Colin, you were involved in this, but you must have been too, Willie. I mean,
Ronnie and Willie were working this tour, and I was with Purple, and of course the orchestras all across Europe that we used. And my nephew was the conductor for all the concerto tours.
I think I may just have accidentally kicked somebody out of the stream.
Oh, hello.
All right now.
Someone's been accidentally.
Don't do that.
kicked
Might not
out.
be able to get back.
Right, they may not be able to get back in.
I think
Watch
it was
out,
Imp.
guys.
Sorry, Imp. I hit the wrong button. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, Imp's been gone for a while.
Is he all right? Yeah.
Yeah, he got booted by Melon maybe 20 30 minutes ago.
Melon's really playing up today. But I love just Ronnie's range on that. It's beautiful material that Roger wrote, and he just sings it beautifully.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everyone thinks of him as a metal guy. That proves how good a singer he is.
Just the look on his face too. He just looks so happy to be there.
Yeah, it's
like,
pure joy, man. That's what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, it's something else, man. That's awesome.
I mean, you're a good singer no matter what you sing, right? I mean, heavy metal.
It's
or,
like
I mean, yeah,
it's like
can
when you
sing
watch
everything.
Linda Ronstadt sing. You know, it's just it's somebody on a different level. They're the kind of person that makes a singer jealous. You know what I mean? He's on a different level from anybody.
Oh yeah, what a guy. I mean, I'm so even just knowing you guys that knew him makes me feel good because I'd love to have met him.
Oh man,
he's my hero. He is my hero. I just
when he used to come down, when he came to London, he phoned me up once and he said, Wendy's got all these interviews for me up in London. I said, oh, really? He went, can I come down and see you? I went, pub? He went, he phoned me up and said, I'm on the so-and-so train. I met him at the station, a load of local mates of mine, went up to Arundel, hit all the pubs, went a right little piss up, and he stayed here for a night, and then fell asleep in the rocking chair, you know, as you do. Had a curry. He loved it. Loved his curries.
He loved his curries, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great. He's such a lovely guy. So I'm going to get into some of the Dio era stuff, Willie, that you've sent me, and because you were heavily involved in 5-6 tours at least. More.
Well, basically, I mean, since I met Ronnie in the early days, 73, 74, I virtually, apart from the Whitesnake days, I worked with Ronnie, whether it was Elf, whether it was Dio, Rainbow, Black Sabbath, you know, so my cats have just come charging in.
You're being attacked by pussy.
Oh, if only. If only.
You've both got pussy going on. That's roadies.
On the window behind me.
I mean, I don't want to assume, but it sounds like you were Ronnie's right-hand man for many years.
Well, yeah, it came out that way. I mean, Ronnie and I got on so well. I started off roading and doing guitars because he wanted me around generally. And, you know, I went from one job to another, ended up doing the who can we get to run the dragons in one of the big stage sets? You had the dragons, snakes.
The dragon was incredible.
Well, it was the snakes that used to come out, and it was all hydraulics. And I spent all day fixing them before the show, and then it never worked on the and I used to have to push them out under the stage set with all the smoke, all the dry ice, and then Ronnie would come and be singing, then look at me sideways, and I'd be smoking a joint. And so he'd pop his head in, have a couple of hits, and then he'd go out and carry on singing. Or he'd pop in, or he'd take my beer. But he used to love coming in and coming to do a sound check, and I'd be under there cursing these snakes, and he used to just find it hysterically funny. He used to just love it, you know. And we just became so close, and it the more we worked with each other, the closer we got.
Like a guy's guy, like a lovely guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was. People used to call us the odd couple. You know, it was a bit like.
So were you the Walter Matthau or the Jack Lemmon?
I was the Felix. I was the one that.
F you.
Ronnie was the one that was always tidy and doing the shit.
He's a hard-working guy, though.
Oh man, he never stopped. You know, it was one of those things where as soon as he came off the tour, Ronnie was. I mean, Colin will vouch for this. Used to moan and bitch, and if he was tired, he could be a nightmare. And the thing is, once you got home at the end of a tour, you go, oh, thank fuck for that. I'd have my bed and I can watch sports and have a curry. And then within a fortnight, he can't.
Can we go out again? Let's go out again.
He'd be in the studio. I want to go and do that. Oh, why can't? So you kind of go. Yeah, he did. He used to just work. He worked his ass off.
Were you living? You were living in the States at the time, though.
I wasn't living there. I used to stay with Ronnie for a few months at a time, but then I'd probably come home for a bit and then discover that I got on better with Ronnie than I did my wife. So I'd go back.
You know, I can understand that.
Go back, stay with Ronnie, back in the pub, more curries. No, he'd always make sure that I'd come out. If we were touring in America, he'd always have me out 2 weeks before the tour started, so we could, and I always end up staying 3 or 4 weeks at the end of a tour. I mean, without a doubt, I spent more time with him than I did my wife over 30 odd years. So, we got pretty close.
Yeah, and this picture is probably about 84-ish, 83, 84.
I'm trying to think. That was with that's Mickey D from Motorhead. So, and that's Boffu in the back there, which is one of the Swedish Hells Angels. So that's got to be taken in Sweden.
Yeah, it's probably late 80s. I'm not quite sure. Or it could be later.
We did a lot of tours with Motorhead over the years because we did some Motorhead with Scorpions or with Deep Purple.
Well, we're going to see that in these pictures. You sent such wonderful pictures. So here's the Last Supper.
This is the Last Supper. Yeah, this is
good.
when it's in Italy, and
it's got the halo. I love it.
That's right. The plates. They said they're like halos, so we put the halos behind and. Hence the Last Supper.
God bless him.
And then, of course, they named the street after him in Cortland.
Yeah.
Yes, the thing is, Ronnie hated this because I said, "Why do you hate it?" He said, "Say it to me." I said, "DOA." He went, and again,
dead on arrival.
Yeah, she said, "Dead on arrival." She said, "I hate that because it always reminds me of Dead on Arrival."
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There's my hero. That's my hero on the left. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I told you, Brian, I told you I played Miss Pac-Man with him all night long at a bar that I was bartending at. Yeah. He married Valerie Bertinelli. Who won? It
Quite
was
frankly, I think Pac-Man would win.
Yeah, right. But Valerie Bertinelli is from Shreveport, and he would come in to Cowboys when they came to see her family in Shreveport. Wow. And I was off one night, and he and I sat there, and they had a tabletop Miss Pac-Man in one part of the bar, and we partied and had a good time. I love Eddie. He's awesome. Yeah.
Love
it.
He's a cool guy.
Great picture. Yeah. When was that taken? That must have been mid 80s, maybe mid 80s.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this you sent me this the other day. This is the Dio liquor in Hungary.
Yeah, my wife and I were in Hungary. We went to Budapest, and we're sitting, and they do these what they call chimney cakes, and they're sort of hollowed out bread, and they put different fillings in. And one was Dio, and it turns out that Dio is walnut. So, and I saw these bottles. I wanted to buy some, and I couldn't find them anywhere. I saw the picture and I looked everywhere, couldn't find any. But it's actually a liqueur, a Hungarian liqueur, and I love to get all
the name is so good. So this is
it's Klaus
Minor from Scorpions, yeah. Who have done you must have done a bunch of gigs together.
Well, there was a great one. It was Ronnie's birthday, and we were in Chicago, and a good mate of mine, Danny Zalisco, is a big promoter out there. Organized a restaurant in Chicago because it's like his hometown. He lives in Phoenix, but his house and his mum was in Chicago, and he had this huge party with all the Scorpions and God bless Bill Barkley and everybody. You must have been there, were you, Cole?
Yeah, Bill Barkley. Wow.
Yeah, Bill Barkley, bless him.
Scottish disc jockey.
Sorry?
No, he was a Scottish disc jockey, Bill Barkley.
No, he's a Scot. He's a
Scot, yeah.
But he's been their tour manager, I don't know.
Oh, right. That Bill Barkley, yeah.
Forever and a day, I think, yeah.
There's a lot of Bill Barkleys in Scotland.
My nephew just ran into him in South America.
Oh, right. Bill? Oh, great. Yeah.
So I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him. He means nothing to anybody.
Lemmy, what a great character he was. I'll tell you a quick story about Lemmy.
Yeah.
I had a phone call once and they said, look, this is Doug Smith. He said, I manage Motorhead. We're looking for tour manager and somebody gave me your name. Are you interested? I went, oh, I said, yeah, it depends what the money's like, how long the tour is. Blah, blah. And he said, look, pop into the office in Westbourne Grove. He gave me the address. And he says, a pub they use around the corner. Pop in and see me first and go around the pub and have a chat with the guys and make your mind up. I'm, okay. So the first thing I did, I walked in and there's Filthy at the bar and Fast Eddie, no Lemmy. And we're sitting having a beer, and I bought a beer. And all of a sudden one of them stopped and went, "Can you smell that?" And they went, "Yep, it's Lemmy." And I went, "Fucking what's going on here?" Sure enough, a few seconds later, the door opens, in walks Lemmy. All right, they've got this game they like to play, whatever. I smell Lemmy. I said, "Hello, mate. What do you want to drink?" "Oh, I'll have a large Coke with lots of stuff in it and all that." "Yeah, right." Lemmy. Pour him a drink. And we sat there, and he pounded his drink down and said, "Right, you want another drink?" I went, "Yeah, I'll have a pint." He said, No, you drinking what I'm drinking." I went, "Okay." So it was another large bourbon Coke. And we were pounding these down and telling stories. And after a few, I did once again, my Tommy Cooper impersonation came out, and he howled. He loved it. He thought it was brilliant.
I bet he did.
And we sat and we
don't like that like this.
We're wasted.
Like this.
And me and Lemmy are still pounding these drinks down. And the others had to leave. They couldn't stand up. They were me and Lemmy are still there going, fucking, just started. Anyway, the pub shuts on those days at 3, so we left. I went back to the office. I had squiffy, to say the least. And I said, "Well, I'm off now." I said, "Let me know. Give me a call." He went, "Okay."
Let me know.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah.
Let me know.
So next day, the phone goes. It's Doug. He said, "You're hired."
You see, Lemmy seemed like a guy that had...
He said, you made him laugh. You didn't fall under the table after 4 drinks. He said, "You'll do." Went, "Okay."
He had a test. He had a checkbook.
So,
gave you the Irish test. That's what we call it. Yeah.
That's it. So Lemmy then calls me up and goes, "You know you got the gig, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "But there's one condition." I went, "Yeah." He said, "You got to wear a fez when you check us into the hotels in France." I went, "Fuck off." Said, "No,
like this.
All right. So I purposely left my fez at home. I arrive at the bus. We get on the bus going on the ferry to go to Paris. We arrive in Paris. I went, "You guys hang here. I'm just going to go in, get your room keys sorted out." And he went, "Haven't you forgotten something?" I went, "No." And he said, "Your fez." I went, "Sorry, mate, I left it here at home." He went, "Don't worry, I've got one." He opened up the bag and took out a fez.
Oh my God.
He followed me in and watched me checking in doing Tommy Cooper. And I went, and he just sat. And he made me do that every time we checked in a fucking hotel.
For the Americans watching, Tommy Cooper was a magnificent British comedian who was a magician but did comedy.
On the side, yeah, they had no idea. Yeah.
And he made it look like he was a shit magician. He was actually a really good one, but he did it so it was funny. Like he was screwing it up, and yet he was really good at it.
That's where he was so good at that.
Yeah, it was a double bluff. Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. Lovely guy. But Lemmy always seems like a guy with no artifice about him. He's like just the guy that you see is the guy you get.
As long as he had his cigarettes, his drink, a video game in front of him, and his sounds, and a woman.
And
all he wanted.
Anybody could go up and talk to him, and as long as they weren't an ass. Yeah, as long as they weren't an asshole. Yeah,
he didn't care. If he didn't like him, he'd turn the fuck off. But yeah, that was generally it.
And then there's this one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I just got to shut the kettle. Hang on.
Yeah, sweaty gig. Here's another very quick story here. That's what the all original guys. That's
Well, that's the original lineup. Yeah,
the original lineup. Yeah, there was a great story. We were flying out to Belfast to do a live recording show in Belfast at one of these their big gigs, and we all got off the plane at Belfast, and as we were about to go and get bags and all this sort of stuff, all of us were surrounded by police and got collared, and we went, "That's a bit strange." So they took us all to these rooms, 2 or 3 of us into these different rooms, and I said, "Look, I'm the tour manager. We're doing a live show in Belfast. We live recording. If you're going to start doing searches and all that, can you do the drummer and the sound man first? So at least we can get him, trying to think logically."
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, after about 15, 20 minutes, I reiterated and said, look, can we move this along a bit? And it was me, Lemmy, and his minder, Mick Murphy, in one room. And I think it was Phil, Fast Eddie, and then they had someone else in another room, the sound engineer. And there was another couple of people in another room. Anyway, I kept saying to the guy, look, we've got to move this along. Lemmy's got bored, so he's opened up this little, always carried a mini suitcase, opened it up, pulled out the fags, special brew, and vodka. Starts drinking the vodka. And the cop's looking at him going, so he gets on the phone, he goes, oh, silly fucking autistic. A couple of minutes later, the guy comes and he went, oh no, you don't want to be drinking that stuff, sir. And Lemmy's going, yeah, why the fuck not? It's mine. He said, do you want to try some of this? So he goes over to what looks like a dartboard thing, opens it up, and it's got all this illicit poutine on optics. Starts giving us this poutine. This is at 7:30, 7:45 in the morning.
Damn.
Right. So this goes on, and after about 10 minutes, another couple of coppers come in, and they all start drinking, and it's become like a party. We're all getting pissed. So I've gone, look, as much as we're enjoying ourselves, can we move this along? We've got to get to the gig and do it. Anyway, they bought a few more drinks. They carried on. Went to the gig, did the show. Everything was cushy, went down great, blah, 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 blah. Come back the next morning to the airport to get on the plane. As we're about to board the plane, collars are felt again. Take us back to these cells in these offices. Going, oh, really? They didn't find anything coming in. Now we're taking something out. Same thing happens. Pachin comes out. All these special. They just wanted a party. And I said, we've got a plane on the runway. He's gone. Gets on the phone. He says, hold flight number so and so and so and so. We sat there for nearly 2 hours getting absolutely shit faced, and then
you will not leave until we're pissed.
They were torching you with alcohol. That's what it was.
They were trying to get it out of us, squeeze it out.
That's true authoritarianism right there.
We finally get to the plane where it's full of people who are looking very, very miffed.
Oh,
been sitting on it, right? And as we get in boarding on the plane, the main officer turns around, gives me his card. He said, next time you come to Ireland, he said, why don't you come? Hello, darling.
We got Courtney on the phone. Sorry, I'm Courtney. I don't know what's going on with Melon. I'm so sorry, lads. I miss you being here. I'm so sorry. I can't help it. I don't know what's happening, but it's good to see you there. We can't hear you, but we can see you.
We got Courtney, third party.
Courtney's
third
such
party,
a great,
Courtney.
And it's her birthday today. It's her birthday.
Happy birthday again. Yeah.
Oh,
we got to sing happy birthday to her before we get off of here tonight.
They say it's your birthday.
My birthday too,
So,
yeah.
Motorhead, a lot of laughs. Here's Ronnie with the fans. He was so good with the fans.
Oh,
He never.
fantastic.
Is it true he wouldn't leave until he'd signed everything?
Everybody.
Almost always, yeah.
It's every night. Every night. Some nights he'd always start off. He'd go, look, I'm feeling a little tired. Let's just do 3 albums or three autographs each. And of course you go, okay. So I'd go down the line and go, look, we need to hurry this up. Only 3 each. And of course somebody would turn up, has got all his albums, and Ronnie would go, I'll give him it, and end up doing all, Yeah. And we'd always end up for 3, maybe 4 hours a night doing autographs. Never stopped.
Yeah, he honestly, you couldn't meet a finer gentleman, I've heard.
Yeah.
Just
that'd be rain, shine, snow. We'd still be out there signing.
Yeah.
3 or 4 hours at a time.
When you consider the prima donnas in the rock business. What a
Oh my
difference.
gosh, yeah.
He used to get really pissed at all the guys in Sabbath because once the show was done, they'd be in the limos off to the hotel.
Yeah.
And he used to really piss him off. And every so often he'd say to Tony, you used to sit and sign some, and to Geezer, and they'd.
And yet those are working class guys. You think they would appreciate the fans,
Yeah, it's just
I guess they were joined us
Sound like
by them.
And it's not like back then you were getting stuff signed to sell on eBay either. Like, like today, that was, people that just wanted that for their own collection, just to have it.
I mean, he did such great material with them as well, though. So just a quick clip of I love the, to me, Dio era Sabbath is the best Sabbath. That's just me.
Had to do with his lack of health.
Such a shame, but yeah, Dio era Sabbath. Those 4 Sabbath albums, particularly the first 2, are just magnificent. 2 of the best albums ever made: Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell.
Yeah, Heaven and Hell I thought was the one.
It is one of the 5 greatest rock albums ever made, in my opinion. Possibly even my favorite album of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, it changes from day to day, but yeah, here's this positive proof that you're both goofs.
No, he was great to be around. Yeah.
Geez, sorry about that.
That's all right, mate. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's just a couple of posters. Bloomington, isn't that in North? It's in New England somewhere. Bloomington.
I know there's a Bloomington in Indiana, but
maybe yeah. So that's Sacred Heart Tour '85. I love this poster. I just love the magical mythical metal. Dio brings you the medieval ages, complete with fire-breathing dragon, laser dueling knights, and a very, very pissed off tech who can't get it to work.
Who can't get the snakes to work?
Right.
But Ronnie used to love that. It used to make him laugh.
Yeah, and Colin, you although you knew Ronnie very well too, you were at the parallel times of this were with Deep Purple.
Yeah.
You were out with Deep Purple. Yeah.
70s. That's Met Center. Yeah, Bloomington, Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay.
Wow.
Capacity 15,000. Yep.
Because I think there's more than one Bloomington.
Okay.
Well, that one's Bloomington, Minnesota. 85, 10, 16. Yep.
Yeah. Did Purple and Dio do double bills ever in this era? Or like
we did a couple of festivals in Germany, didn't we, Willie?
Yeah.
Well, there'd be Monsters of Rock stuff and
Monsters of Rock. Yeah. Was it Nuremberg we did? No.
Right.
I'm trying to think if it was it Nuremberg was one of them.
The funny thing is, I've been to Cortland, but it was. I've been to Cortland, but it was before the street was named.
Yeah, I lived there before this street was named too.
Yeah.
Good memories.
Supported by Saga.
Yeah, see, my favorite stuff was him on his own, the solo act. I loved his stuff.
So there's the 2 Donington gigs, 83, 87, which were legendary.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, he would have fitted in the Mad Max movie with that. So
Is it just me, or is everybody frozen on this?
No, it's just you.
Just you, Willie.
Okay.
But we can hear you and see you. Okay.
We hear you just fine. Everything's good, man. Yeah.
So I can pick my nose and wave my dick out. It's not a problem. Then.
So this was
not a problem. We'll see everything, man.
Yeah.
It's not my channel, so it's not a problem.
Is, Willie, if it's very small, we might see nothing. I mean,
this one here.
So this
the
is
guy on the right is a guy called Gungy, who you must know, Colin.
Oh yes, Gordon Gungy.
He was like 6'11" and a half.
I was fixing to say that guy's gigantic.
NBA style.
And he was a Scottish front of house.
Oh, he's the only tall Scotsman in history then.
Front of house engineer.
Yeah.
Now,
good Lord.
This here are cakes that I bought in Amsterdam, dope cakes, because it was Gungy's birthday. And I bought 2 or 3 cakes, 1.5 each for the tour bus, for the crew and for the band. And when we're leaving Holland, we got stopped at the German border and had no idea that we were stopping. And then all of a sudden the curtains opened and on walked this German soldier with a great big Alsatian dog. And we thought, oh God. And we've got this dope cake on the table, ashtrays with joints in it. And we thought, oh no, we're screwed. The dog comes up and sits there and looks at me, wagging its tail. I gave it a bit of the chocolate cake. Ronnie looks at me and goes, "No, you can't." So I've given the dog a bit of this cake. The guy comes on in broken English saying, "Oh, is it okay? I love the bus. Can I look at the bus?" I'm going, "Of course you can." So we took him down the back, showed him the lounge, showed him the sleeping area, come back, and then he went, "Oh, chocolate cake." And I went, "Oh, would you like some?" And Ronnie's now going, "No." I cut 2 slices of cake, stuck them in some silver foil, gave the dog another little something, gave this to the guy, and the guy was over the moon. This German said, "Oh, thank you so much. Good night. Schlaf gut. Have a good trip." And as he's leaving the bus, he calls his dog. The dog's going nowhere. The dog's fucked. So he had to drag the dog off the bus. He was so stoned, this fucking dog. And he has now taken this dope cake for him and his mate to have coffee. So you can imagine sitting there on the border, everybody coming in smuggling everything. And the guys are too stupid. And Ronnie and I laughed about that for ages. But that was what that cake was all about. And it was Gungy's birthday.
Man, oh man.
Gungy,
That's crazy.
wow.
Yeah. When you think now you'd have been in jail by now, we'd have been in jail. And the guy on the left is a guy called Chemo, that was a Hawaiian that used to look after Ronnie. He was a black belt at
CHEMO.
everything.
Before we talk about this, again, I'm desperately sorry to everyone in the chat. I can't highlight your chats. I've seen them all, and there's some fantastic stuff going on. I deeply appreciate your being here, and I'm glad you're having a good time. Our great friend Christian Delorme has again donated another $10 Canadian bottle caps.
Maniac.
Nuka-Cola caps. I love upstate New York, Cortland, Bingo, and Syracuse. And Corning. Corning's a nice little town. I trucked through there many times. Great people.
Yeah.
So
my son's at Syracuse University right now. So.
Yeah, it's
really cool.
Upstate New York is brilliant. As I say, Corning, the Finger Lakes, all these places. This is for you, Christian.
Cut it off.
What a great track.
Holy diver.
Oh, you tease me so much. That's my favorite deal right there. That's it.
Yeah, Vince is saying he's been in the screen for the last 10 minutes. I don't know. I really don't know what to do. Vince,
this guy here is a guy called Bill Metallicus, who was the minder for the band. He was like 6'4", 400 pounds he was. And that's all the band and me all standing behind him. We would actually hide behind him if he wanted. I mean, he was huge.
No one's getting through him.
Nope. He is the door. No problem.
Yeah. Yep. Now you're looking a bit. You're looking very spiky there, I have to say.
I'm telling someone to fuck off, I think. And bless him, Simon is probably kind of going, "Yeah, I'm with you."
That's the drummer, Simon. Yeah.
Yeah, Simon. Yeah, good lad, Simon.
Good.
He sort of helped look after Ronnie when he lived at Ronnie's.
Oh, he helped him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of Iron Maiden.
Yeah, we did a lot with Maiden over the years.
Nico. Yeah.
Man.
He's got long fingers.
Yeah.
I did get to see Maiden live. I loved every iteration of Eddie. Must have been fun to put together. I mean, my gosh, that thing was just enormous on that stage.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Look at this great artwork.
Mm-hmm.
The Last in Live tour. Yeah.
With some good stuff.
Now, getting into the orchestral era that you were talking about, this is Roger and Ronnie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they were good friends, him and Ronnie. They had a lot of respect for each other.
Well, Ronnie, I've always admired Ronnie Roger Glover, and hey, if he ever feels like doing a show.
Right?
Yeah, he probably would.
Please let us know. No doubt.
Not that I'm begging or anything, you know.
Right?
I mean, Colin will tell you he probably would if you catch him on the right day. But if you asked him now, he'd probably forget by tomorrow.
I can offer him unlimited Rush beer.
Well, I think you probably just bought him right there.
There you go.
Well, he lives in Switzerland now, so
it's a done deal.
It's next to Tina Turner, eh? Next door to Tina Turner, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This movie, if I urge everyone to see this documentary when you get the chance, it's the Dio documentary, Dreamers Never Die. It is magnificent. I'm pretty sure that both Willie and Colin are in there somewhere in the background. I mean,
I haven't seen it yet.
It's awesome. It's one of my favorite.
I doubt very much if Wendy would have put me anywhere near that, to be honest.
It's a beautiful story, and tears.
I've heard all the early stuff is great. Apparently, it's supposed to be very good.
Oh, it's magnificent.
You see, Wendy, once again, Ronnie was writing a book, and every time I went to Ronnie's house, we'd do what we need to do during the day. Come the evening, we'd have a meal. Whether he used to love cooking Italian meatballs, or or we'd get a nice curry and sit and drink, and he'd bring out this huge wad of papers, which was the book, and would sit and read a chapter. And every night that he wrote so prolifically well, Ronnie, writing stories, and we go to bed having great thoughts about what a great chapter it was, and next chapter. Now, last time I was with him, he hadn't even got to where he and I had met yet. This is all early Elf and Dio's disciples, prophets, all this.
Oh yeah.
And he was saying the next bit is where we meet and we start telling the fun, And I don't think he ever got to write much of that. But I think Wendy got someone in and wrote a lot more, which is not, I've got more stories in there that could go, So it's not a good story, unfortunately.
No, that's a shame. I mean, I have read the book and it is good.
I've heard direct reports, but it's everybody said the same thing. It's all early
the prophet
stories, articles, interviews, and it's great. Great.
Yeah, the prophet stuff is great, and there are video clips of the prophets. Ronnie, he played bass then, of course. He wasn't just singing; he was a bass player.
That's right. Yeah.
And there's a lot of clips of him on YouTube then, and it's I love those clips. He's just like young guy, beautiful guy.
He told me a story once. His hero was Satchmo, because Ronnie used to play the trumpet, as you all know.
The great Satchmo. Yep.
Satchmo. Looks like we're having fun there, Colin.
Wait a minute.
This is the photo of the two of you. I found it.
Yeah, and Gillen's holding the bar up, so I don't know why we're not helping.
Who's leading in this dance?
Me.
He's leading. Yeah, he always leads.
And Ian Gillen's standing there trying to go, I can't see this.
It's a simple rule. The taller guy is always leading.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
With Ian standing there trying to ignore you. Yeah.
He does a very good job.
Yeah. Ian.
That's Ian wishing me happy birthday. Somebody got to see him at a show and said it's Willie's birthday, so he went, "Happy birthday, Willie."
I got your present. It's one of these. One of these.
I've got about.
You're number one.
And
now you're number two.
Roger gave you two of them.
Roger's. That's nice. He's kind of given me two happy birthdays. You see, he's all heart.
Right there in the background. Yeah.
Oh, Maury.
Bless him.
Now, Maury was the sound man for both Purple and did a lot of for Dio as well. And he got diagnosed with terminal lung cancer.
Shit.
And I kept in touch with him a lot during his illness. And he phoned me up one day and I told him that Ronnie had died and that I was flying out for the funeral. He then phoned me back the next day and said, "Look, can I come with you?" I said, "Of course you can. We'll take care of you. We'll look after you." Anyway, he flew out with us. He didn't tell anybody that he had terminal cancer. He helped carry the coffin for Ronnie and everything else. And he came back to England, and not long after that, he died. Yeah, he was a good lad, nice guy.
Yeah, we lost a few.
Now, here you go, Brian. This guy on the right, Miller Anderson.
Miller Anderson.
Used to be with Mountain, Spencer Davis.
Bit of a wizard guitar player.
Yeah.
Scottish guy, great voice.
He's a break.
No
way.
Oh, he was brilliant. Square sausage, all the stuff.
Oh, like it's nothing like a bit of square sausage for breakfast.
I know it, man. Square sausage.
Aye.
And I'm brew.
And brew and beans.
Now, yeah, this guy's still doing gigs. Local pubs.
So he played with Mountain after Leslie West, I guess.
Leslie West, yeah, and Savoy Brown he was with. He was all sorts of betting.
Oh,
Great
Savoy
singer.
Brown. I've seen Savoy Brown live.
Yeah, great singer, great guitar player. And he too came and did the orchestra tour with us.
Yeah, the concerto.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
He sang a song that John Lord had written. In fact, you can probably find it on YouTube.
Okay.
And if that don't bring a tear to your eye.
Brilliant.
So this picture is don't take drugs.
Look what it did to Jimmy. Yeah, you see.
Just say no.
Drugs are bad, okay? They're bad, okay?
Jimmy Bean.
Jimmy.
Bless
So that was all the pictures, I think. That's it. But these are great photographs.
Who's that?
I think that's me. That's my logo.
That's him.
my logo.
In all his animated glory. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also have an alter ego who is a Korean film star. Anyone who watches Korean movies will get that. It's my Don Lee is me. Gentlemen, we're going to have to draw a close to this because there's a big hockey game coming up in 20 minutes.
Well, I just
say what?
Gotta just show my
Hockey,
album
what the hell's
covers.
that?
Oh, hang on. We're gonna see.
And I gotta ask something about the show too, because I was. This my buddy Rob gave this to me. Remember, he good friend just passed away, but we love the shows. Then I found this. Never opened.
Is there anything you don't collect, Mark? Is there anything you don't collect, bro?
Caldo. Jeez.
$2.99. You lucky bastard.
They don't exist anymore. Caldo.
I'm telling you.
That's a good find.
Well, this is there's the back. But I was at the show and I looked it up. I lost the ticket stub. Usually I save all my ticket stubs, but I was at the Garden, July 20th, 1986. So we took the train down to see Dio at the Garden, and guys came on. They trashed the train. And the cops showed up, and we, they looked at us and like, who did it? I'm like, there were guys wearing leather blue jeans jackets, concert shirts, and blue jeans with long hair. We weren't going to rat anyone out, but I was not going to narrow anyone down. Like, we're all going to see Dio. And then we get to the show. Fantastic show, amazing. I'm watching. I guess there's a video from the Spectrum show a few days earlier on June 17th. So that brought back some great memories. And everyone started trashing the Garden and throwing seats on the stage, and Ronnie's saying, "Guys, cut it out."
That's a
Rangers game. They're like, chill out, guys, cut it out. So he did Rainbow in the Dark, and then the lights went up, and he ended the show without doing, another encore. So I don't know if you guys remember that, but these guys at the show were just trashing all the seats and throwing them on stage. And through the whole night, and Ronnie's like, "Come on, man, we're gonna come back and play again, and play again here." And I guess they ended the show early. But that dragon, I mean, you were saying how, I don't know whose idea was that, Ronnie's idea, but that dragon was just so amazing to see in a show. It was just such
it's always he comes up with these ideas, and if he finds the right people that can put all the stuff together, that was it. And what he used to do is any money made on that tour, he would then invest it in the stage set for the next one.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way he worked,
So one more clip of Ronnie. a legend.
Yeah, because those shows were just, with that drag and some shows you see and the act is boring, and this was just such a phenomenal experience to go there. You got your 17. I looked at this ticket stub was $17, so I got my $17 worth. It was just so amazing to see Dio that night.
Yeah, he's a legend. We all miss him.
Yep,
that'd be $170 ticket today.
Oh,
or more.
Fly by 10, easy. Yeah,
like $250.
I mean, look, I heard the Taylor Swift tickets, or someone in our family got tickets, so they were over $1,000 to go see Taylor Swift.
That's unbelievable.
You might as well burn your money. I mean,
come on, man.
I wouldn't pay $1.57 to see Taylor Swift.
Exactly. She'd have to pay me $1,000 and I still wouldn't go.
Right?
I'd pay $1,000 to see Ronnie James Dio. That's for sure.
I mean, dinner, right? The whole 9 yards.
So I'd like to thank everyone on the panel. Thanks, guys, my regular guys. I appreciate you all very much. John, Joe, Dustin, Mark, Courtney, and Pope. I'm desperate, and Imperitus. I'm desperately sorry we had these technical problems. My apologies for that. Everyone in the chat, again, the technical problems. I couldn't highlight everything. I'm so upset about that. But thank you all for being here and for chatting away like crazy. It's been fantastic. We've had a great crowd. I noticed over on the Rumble side, we were on the top of the entertainment page on Rumble as well. So it's at one point, in fact, we're still in the top 5 up there.
Awesome.
So not a lot of chatting ever goes on in Rumble, but with a lot of viewers. So thank you to everyone over there. Thank you to everyone on YouTube. I cannot say enough thanks to my 2 guests tonight. So Colin and Willie, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having us, mate.
It's gone the other way now.
It's been great. And it's good to see my mate Colin too. That's great.
Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta get in the middle of you. There you go. Oh no, I can't get it to work now.
You'll get there.
It won't work.
You'll get there one day.
It won't work. Oh, I'll put
Willie's right down. Well, okay. Now, okay. All bets are off. Who knows? They're in the middle.
Colin's
right?
top and Willie's bottom.
There you go. Yes. There you go.
We've seen Willie's bottom already. Thank you.
We've seen that quite enough of that.
Thanks a lot for sharing those great stories with us, man. We really appreciate it. Really do. Huge fan.
Good. Thanks for having us.
I hope you'll come back and spend some time with us again.
We'd love to. I'd love to. Yeah,
I'll be back.
Thanks,
awesome.
guys. Because you guys are
carry on where we left off.
Yeah, we've barely scratched the surface. I just flipped through a bunch of shit so we could get all the pictures and you sent me.
I'll get more pictures too.
Yeah.
I can't waste them. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back.
A whole bunch of pictures, man. I got thousands of them.
Got to see those. Got to see those. You guys
plunder my Facebook page.
Well, there's nothing about a bit of plunder, is there?
Yeah.
A bit of plunging and plundering. But,
yeah.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it very much.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. Love it.
Thanks, Colin. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
We'll see you again
soon.
Take
care, guys. Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Until next time, everybody. I'm not going to plug any other shows because
next time, Brian.
Yeah, I'm sorry, nobody. Oh, I mean, all these people. It says 72 people here.
Oh, that's just that number is always. It's always more than that. That's just
it goes up and down here.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot more than that when it's
before it's all said and done. Yeah, it's going to be a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Thank you again, gentlemen. We are not worthy. Appreciate it.
So
there you are. You know
the hockey game.
Everybody out there, take care. Plug for the Dallas Stars tonight. The game starts very shortly.
Enjoy the game.
Go Stars.
Go Rangers.
Rangers are out long ago.
I don't even want to talk about hockey in this stream, Brian. Damn it.
So, good night, everybody. Keep on rocking. Take care.